do it, alright? So I'll be looking at chat as I go along. Please try to pertain the questions please try to pertain the questions to what I'm talking about right now, alright? So, basically these first two terms, I'm not even going to read them out, but it's basically, okay, I'll just read everything. AoE bonus gold component based on team net worth difference reduced by 25%. That's basically like, hey, fuck comeback mechanic, it's still there, but let's reduce it. I like that concept. Everyone's complaining about it. I think there was a degree of making it much easier to just turtle because of the comeback mechanic. Same thing with the reduced experience, but now it's 40%, so I really like that change. This in particular, this change being lowered by 7%, and 6.25%, I mean, pretty much people are talking about, like, that basically nerfs the whole idea of farming. I think it also buffs slightly jungling, you know, like, they did change some of the jungle creeps as well as ancients, but in overall, like, between this and, like, a bunch of the other changes, it seems like farming in this patch is going to be much, or not much less, but slightly less, like, worth it in the long run. And then this is also, so like hero kills, the non-net worth portions are worth 10% more. I mean, so this is basically like, we still want you to worry about kills, and like, so instead of making it all about the comeback mechanic, it's now like hero kills are probably going to be about the same amount, but it's going to be about the same amount for both teams, you know? Can you please say the patch analysis? Yes, this will be updated. And I just got 2 subscriptions, Sad Perfected and Flame, with the new subscribers, man. Welcome to the Banana Slammers. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna quickly update the sub goals because I always forget. All right, and then I'm gonna continue going on here. So yeah, this is basically just counteracting these reductions, but it's making it so both teams get increased instead of just the losing team. Because of the buff to jungling and hero kills, do you think we'll see more Nature's Prophet with Dagon? I think you'll see a lot more Nature's Prophet, but not because of these changes. So basically we got reduces the direct hero last hit bounty by 100 and redistribute that gold into AoE gold. I mean, this basically just makes it so that people that get assists, it's not like all the gold goes to one person now. It's much more about everyone who contributes to the kill getting more gold. Where's Ruth? You can't analyze the patch. She's actually got some stuff going on. Okay, but the amount of AoE bonus gold is now decreased by up to 20% based on the dying hero's relative rank and net worth amongst all the enemies on that team. So basically, it says, example, if the total AoE gold would normally be 600. If the hero dying is the lowest in net worth, the bounty is reduced by 20%. If the hero dying is the highest, it's increased by 20%. I mean, so that's basically making it like feeding the comeback mechanic a little bit, but it's a small component of it's based on a small component of the gold, not like the entirety of it. It's instead of getting like 1,000 gold for a kill, it's just making it so that the AoE bonus gold is increased, which is a set amount. And it also, I missed this for some reason, it says AoE gold is now distributed based on the relative net worth amongst the heroes involved in killing the hero. So basically this means that, I'm sure, yeah, if 3 enemies kill an enemy hero and the extra AoE bounty would normally be 200 for each player, it is instead 200 plus. Yeah, so it's basically helping supports, and it gives less money to carries. We got Bakoa, also subscribed. I'm just going to type a little 1 in here every time somebody subscribes. Welcome, man. I really appreciate the subscription. Welcome to Banana Slammers. Thanks so much, man. But yeah, this is basically like another way to help supports out. Every patch they seem to be making it more and more enticing to be supports. Killing supports is 20% less effective, somewhat nerfed to Slark. I disagree. I think that honestly, the main thing about killing supports, yeah, but did I get another subscribe? Did I miss one? I didn't miss one, did I? No, I didn't. It just came up with 2 of them at the same time. Okay. But I think that the thing about Slark killing supports was not about the gold itself, but about feeding off of the agi you got. Like, even if it's just 5 stacks, I think that was the big deal. And the map control he gives. So, but yeah. So I think that that's not necessarily a huge nerf to Slark. I think it's a nerf to Storm, because Storm always goes for support kills. But especially in pubs. But okay. So let's go ahead and move on. So instead of buyback temporarily preventing unreliable gold gain, it now reduces all gold gain, including hero and AoE gold, by 60%. So basically, instead of like being able to use a Midas and getting kills for full gold or towers, it basically makes it so you get less gold from everything, but you get gold from everything. I think that's an interesting change. I really don't know much else to think about it other than like buying back to farm isn't horrible anymore. Meaning like buying back knowing you can just push some lanes and get some gold from that isn't all that horrible anymore. At the same time, like buying back to fight is also worse now because you don't get all the gold back. So it's kind of like I'm not sure exactly where that's going to go, honestly. It could be a lot better to make it buyback for you, or as far as I can see, a lot of the buybacks are to fight, so it could make it 60% worse. But yeah, I'm also surprised that SF was not touched as well. When talking about Weaver and Wraith King, I will be doing those things in order for the sake of the video that I will be posting with this. But okay, so we're going to move on. Melee and racks and range racks bounties are increased. I mean, that's just something where if you're taking enemy team's racks and put you farther ahead, not a huge deal. The armor on towers is slightly reduced. I mean, that makes it slightly easier to take the towers. I'm sure that won't make that much of a difference either. I mean, they're making pushing high ground a bit easier and more rewarding. But so they also made it so that I used to always be like, when exactly do these creeps freaking spawn? I mean, obviously I knew what it was, but now it's like much easier and sooner. It's slightly quicker. So like for people that don't know, it's that like you start with 3 melee creeps and 1 range creep, and every so often they'll add a melee creep. They used to be this increments and now it's these, so it's much more easy to remember, and it's also slightly sooner, which for split pushing carries, I think that this will actually help make up for the slight reduction in bounty, but obviously it won't completely counteract the nerf on bounty gold from creeps. So then we have the spawn time just made more normal. Doesn't really change anything for range creep and siege creeps. That's basically the same time. It's just more easy to remember. And creeps now meet slightly closer to Dire Safe Lane. It's very well known. It's very well known that I'll disable sub alert, guys. If you're gonna sub, just try to sub after. That's a good point. But for the sake of the video, this basically makes it so that Radiant offlane is going to be slightly harder. The whole point was that Radiant was having a higher win rate because of the fact that the offlane was much easier to get something out of. For many other heroes that couldn't survive Dire offlane, but they could survive Radiance. So this just makes it like it's probably going to balance out the offlanes a little bit. I'm not sure if it'll do the job entirely. I'm not sure exactly how much. It says slightly closer, but we'll kind of see by feel how much of a difference that makes. So basically all these, they nerfed all the bounties from I think that these two the ancient camps now, in 6.83, I thought the golems were like the least worth your time. Like obviously you'd still kill them, but like the dragon camp and the rumblehide camp felt like they gave you the most gold for how long it took you to kill them. So obviously I didn't even say anything about that, but clearly that was their thought as well, because they nerfed those two camps in terms of how much they give to you. And also it feels like Satyr camps were the easiest camp, and then they nerfed that as well. And then it looks like they reduced the Hellbear camp tankiness a little bit and its gold. So that really affects speed as much. And it also felt like in the medium camps that the Ogre Frostmage gave a lot more gold than it should. It really did. Like I never say these kind of things because you don't really think about it, but these are just overall good changes to the jungle and balancing how much you get out of each camp and the randomness of the camps themselves affecting your farming speed. Sup, Shadowfire Lance. But okay. The Mud Golems rework fucking made this patch is hilarious, man. Some of these things are ridiculous. So basically it makes it so that they're no longer spell immune, so like they don't screw over heroes like Darkseer, but Mud Golems now have 50% magic resistance, no armor, and when they die they split into 2 smaller Mud Golems, and when they die they have 30% of the original unit's health and damage and only live for 60 seconds. Basically like another unit that summons skeletons, like the trolls. increase their movement speed. I think that only affects if you take them over with Enchantress or Chin. They now have an active ability, which is hilarious. A 0.6 second stun with 125 damage, 30 cooldown, but most importantly, 800 range. It's not a very long stun, but it's basically, I mean, they make them so they're pretty viable for Enchantress and Chin, right? It's pretty fucking hilarious, I think, what could happen with this, especially if it, like, dissembles into 2 shard golems, which have these same abilities, so you can create 2 small shard golems, and I just think that's hilarious. So, and then they looks like they rescaled so the total value of the camp remains the same. Interesting. I actually didn't read that earlier, but that makes sense. Makes it so you don't gain any more out of it. So, okay. Moving on. People are just talking about all the things they're happy about. Hero kills achieved by units under your control now provide XP credit to your hero. Things like Spirit Bear, Golems, Familiars, etc. I'm going to talk about this right here and later. I think Visage is going to be the next support in this patch, based on this plus the changes to himself. I think there's just a bunch of little things that favor that hero, as well as just the fact that this is just another nice little thing for 3 heroes that are not very popular: Lone Druid, Warlock, and Visage. And then melee attacks now miss if the target is farther than 350 range more than their attack range. I actually didn't read this earlier. So melee attacks now miss if the target is farther than 350 range more than their attack range. So I'm assuming this is when, like, for some reason, you know, like I would use a Slark auto attack and like a Mirana would leap and I would somehow auto attack her when she's like 800 range away. We've all seen it. I'm sure that's what this means. So when that ever, like, instead of trying to fix that ever happening, they just make it so that you can't hit them. I think that's nice. Seems like a good change. Yeah, overall, I think it's a good change. Reduces all pick drafting time. I mean, that's just nice for everybody. The following abilities no longer ignore units classified as Ancients. So, I mean, they nerfed how much it costs to do the Ancients, or how much you get from the Ancients, but now it appears that, this also nerfs Warlock's Golem, by the way, now all kinds of heroes can farm them. I don't think anti-mages will matter. Bloodright, that will help Bloodseeker out a lot. I actually didn't notice that one earlier. Blade Fury, I mean, I think Juggernaut will farm it faster with auto attacks anyways. Torrent, Kunkka, stacking Ancients, Ghost Ship, Smoke Screed from, okay, that makes them so they can miss. Static Remnant, Storm Spirit can farm stacks now. Apparently they want to make him better. Primal Roar, I mean, that's a long cooldown. Earth Spike, I mean, that's Lion. I don't think that'll make much of a difference. And now we're going to see all these, like, freaking pub Necrolytes sitting down, or sitting next to the Ancients and slowly killing them after, like, 20 minutes. Shrapnel, I mean, that's a buff to Sniper itself. Overall, it's just a bunch of abilities, like Call Down. Invoker can now farm Ancients. Leshrac can farm Ancients. Stuff like Battery Assault and Eclipse, like, I don't think anybody's ever going to Eclipse to kill Ancients, and I don't think single target stuff like Battery Assault will make much of a difference. Rocket Flare could help. Shadow Poison on Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon can now do frickin' Ancients, alright? That's actually pretty insane, because that shit stacks up really hard. This is the new patch, yes. Sunstrike isn't going to make a difference, but the Swarm from Weaver could make a difference. Kinetic Field's not going to make a difference. Static Storm, Disruptor ulti to farm the Ancients. This could make Elder Titan viable, at least make him be able to stack the camps pretty reliably. Legion Commander, I honestly don't think that'll make that big of a difference, because her nuke's not that great on creeps. But, I mean, I guess it could help. Stone Gauge, you're never going to Stone Gauge to kill Ancients. Earthbind, I probably should know what hero that is. Meepo can farm Ancients. Riptide, oh, Naga, nice. Nyx's Impale. Fire Spirits from Phoenix. Supernova, I mean, you're never going to Supernova to do that. Mystic Flare from Skywrath. Oh, freaking Dark Pact. I didn't even look at all these abilities. Sick, man. Slark can do Ancients. That's sick, man. That's actually a huge buff for him. He has a really big problem doing Ancients. Suicide Squad, I mean, are you really going to Suicide to kill Ancients? I guess. Ravage. Ravage the fucking Ancients. Demonic Purge, I mean, that's... And Fortune's End. Fortune's End could kind of matter. Probably not though. Those are all single target. Ancients are spell immune. Wait, so what do you mean by that? They take no damage, but they still are affected? What does that mean? Yeah, I'm seeing that they're... What do you mean, though? Oh, it's just for the small dragon? Oh. Well, I'm a fucking dumbass. Why would it say that, then? They're still spell immune, but these stay... okay, I mean, I knew that Dark Pact didn't work on the small dragons. Wow. What kind of change is that? That's such a long change that barely changes anything. Okay. Well, obviously that's something I hate to say. I don't want to say, like, to justify me being a dumbass, but... So I guess it could hit them, yeah. Eclipse could hit Ancients, but do no damage, I guess. It also means you can aggro them, which, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that could kind of matter for stuff like Elder Titan, but... I mean, otherwise, like, maybe Invoker Tornado to stack, but other than most of these abilities, I don't think that's going to happen at all. Read the question mark. This does not mean that all these spells... It still depends on the units with Ancient Tag being spell immune or not. Oh, okay, well, that's retarded. Thanks for the question mark at the end. How about the question mark at the beginning, man? Okay, so let's continue. Now that I mean, it's a small deal. I mean, Dark Pact not hitting the small dragons, that's nice. It's nice now. I knew it didn't. Damage block no longer affects physical spells. Previously affected some spells and some not. Oh, I mean, I knew certain ones said it didn't, but oh, okay. So that's a big buff. That's actually a big buff to Razor. You'd say you just countered Razor with a Crimson Guard. Anchor Smash. I didn't know that either. Slithering Crush got blocked by damage block? Man, they hated Slardar, man. Unstable Concoction, Shadow Wave. Okay, that's a pretty big buff to Dazzle, because there's like multiple targets usually. Reduced twice as part of the attack instead of just once. Shadow Walk, Vendetta, and Meld. I didn't even know that, man. Man, that's a huge buff to those heroes. Like, I mean, when I say huge, I mean little things like that. Like for TA, that'll add up, you know. Here are some of the abilities that were already ignored by block before: Wild Axes, Exorcism, Acid Spray, Poison Touch, Diabolic. Okay, that's good for them. Spirit Bear, and Tangle DPS was reduced. I did not know that either, man. That's actually a pretty big deal for Lone Druid. I mean, that's like damage over time, so reducing that is like, you know, effectively reducing like 100 damage. Man, that's pretty sick. I didn't actually read all these over from the top because I wanted to see specific hero changes because I was reading during game. But we got cast behavior while turning to cast has been adjusted. So previously, if you cast a spell and were already in range but not facing the target, your hero would start turning but not consider that turn as anything beyond normal movement from an order priority perspective. This meant that issuing any order while turning during that very short threshold window would not be in an order queue in the same way as once your casting time started. And now treat your order as the same once you are in cast range. The effective difference this has is that you can queue your actions in the same way after you click ability without depending on the angle casting between being 16 degrees or 20 degrees. Previously, if you issued the order at the wrong degree, it would completely interrupt the ability rather than queuing it. This subtle difference applies most commonly with Blink Daggers. You could easily accidentally cancel your Blink order if you clicked the other ability. I've had issues with this before. It's kind of hard to explain it, but this is basically a quality of life thing. Really nice for them to do. It just... I mean, there's nothing. It doesn't buff anybody. It just helps with the easiness of using, or the ease of using items. I've seen the changes. I just like these ones in particular I have not looked at yet. But yeah, how many new items? There's like 10. We're gonna get to those. All right. I appreciate the talks about my series in Canada Cup though. But okay, we're going to rework the item silencing and passive disabling behaviors. This one's is actually really interesting. So item silencing is called mute, and passive disabling is called break. They basically divided into two different things. Like we always used to know that like Doom and stuff like that, Scepter, Static Storm would mute items, and then like break disables the bonuses of passive abilities only. So previously, a small portion of passive abilities were disabled by Doom and some others by Hex. The break mechanic is now responsible for this behavior, and previous passive behaviors that Hex, Doom blocked are included in the list of behaviors of the breaking abilities. So, so basically, like they big buff to Doom here. in my opinion. Uh, They are only disabled if they match the general rules of buff. For example, Butterfly's evasion is not disabled when you're hex doomed. That's actually a pretty big deal. I did not read this side note on the bottom. Since break does not affect items, no different than playmail not being disabled. That's actually a pretty big deal. Used to be that you could just build a hex to counter Butterfly. That also nerfs PA slightly. Except for the fact, okay, that kind of nerfs PA because you can, like, her evasion's easier to neutralize, but at the same time it buffs her because she can buy a Butterfly and not have her evasion neutralized by hexes. So that's also a like kind of passive nerf to Lion as well, one of the most OP supports right now in 6.83. Overall, I mean, that's just, I think the biggest change here, like, the other things are very specific to heroes like Doom, which I think could be a big buff for him, but at the same time, I think the biggest deal is nerfing the Hex. There are no new heroes released, but Winter Wyvern is in Captain's mode now, which is basically like releasing a new hero. So basically, they make it so Hex no longer disables evasion. Silences no longer disables invisibility. That was like for Mirana, Riki. Big buff to those heroes in general, actually. Moved Ring of Health, Voidstone, and Orb of Venom from Secret Shop to base. That's actually a pretty big deal. I did not see that change earlier. Makes it so, like, you know, the risk of killing the courier is less. Move Playmail, Talisman, Evasion, and Ultimate Orb from the base to the Secret Shop. Wow. Okay. That's weird, but okay. Added Voidstone and Mantle of Intelligence to Side Shop. Stuff like that, I mean, it's just convenient for you in lane. Stuff like Battle Fury builders can now basically get 3/4 of their Battle Fury, or 4/5 if you count Quelling Blade now, from the side shop. Runes now have a higher hitbox priority over units. That basically means when you're the guy at the start trying to right-click spam the rune, it's not going to make you attack the hero. It'll pick up the rune first. Armor now shows decimal places in the hover tooltip. I like that a lot. I always wondered, like, you know, heroes, you'd buy like one branch and go from 1 armor to 2, and you never know exactly how much armor you had, which is really nice. Just a quality thing. Fixed buyback respawn timer, penalty being reset if you die holding Aegis. I mean, that's just a bug. The following heroes are no longer restricted from buying Bash or Abyssal, but they are still restricted from activating Bash. That's nice. It's funny because like 3 patches ago, Troll was not, like, you could still buy one, it would just give him ranged Bash, but because I used to do it for trolling on Troll. But that's nice. That's interesting, though. Borrowed time. Okay, so Abaddon can now be cast when disabled. That's actually a huge buff to that hero, in my opinion, because what would happen is like if you'd get disabled, and then stuff like, even like Doom, like if he's like getting countered by Doom, you can like activate it while you're about to get doomed, or just like you don't want to take your full health and damage and then get it activated while you're being disabled, so you can just, like, knowing your team's going to be there in the next 5 seconds. It could help out a lot to activate it right at the start, so when you come out of your ultimate, you'll be full health instead of, you know, because what happens is they take you down to 400 health after disabling you and leave you there and then come back and kill you. So I think that's a pretty big buff to that hero. So basically they made it so you can see the countdown from enemies again, but it has an area targeting cursor. I'm guessing that means that you can just target can you target the ground, or is it, I'm not, or just the cursor tells you how much you'll hit, I guess is what that means. You get more from runes. That was kind of weird, but the big buff to Alchemist here, I think this is a pretty huge nerf to a stun. I almost think people will hardly level a stun at all. It's so bad now. But basically this means is that you can buy an Acceptor on Alchemist, and you can feed it to a teammate. So I was talking about, like, what about support Alchemist with like a carry Sven or something? Feed it to a teammate, and then it is consumed, like you lose it, and it gives them everything an Acceptor would give them. Or on him, you can consume it, and he just gets all the stats from it. So it's basically like making it so that Alchemist, after he's 6-slotted, can buy every 4k gold. He can buy 10 of every stat and some health and mana. For the Alch change, I think it's like Mana Void. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, it's just a visual thing. So basically, they nerfed his stun and then buffed him with his Acceptor. I honestly don't know if he'll still be picked or not, because he still needs to get a shit ton of gold. It just gives him some late game, but like, is really stats that much late game? I guess what you could do is have an Alchemist carry and combine him with 4 other heroes that require late game Acceptors, like Zeus and shit, you know? and then he can just feed them the Ag Scepters. I don't know what else other like utility that this hero would have. Alchemist can now to multiple instances of this buff do not stack. So basically, okay, I mean I read that earlier. I don't know why it didn't occur to me. So basically, he can get an extra set of 10 stats is what this gives to Alchemist. But I think the major late game here is that if you combine him with 4 other heroes that need Ag Scepters. But I'm under the impression that it says multiple instances do not stack, but you can give it to every single hero. Oh, Tiny Alch! That'd be sick. That's great, Tiny Alch. Alchemist plus Techies. I mean, like, I'm not even going to go into it right now of all the combinations. I'm sure we'll find out eventually. I think this would definitely almost make it so you would want, like, Alchemist as carry, and then have, like, a semi-carry support, like a Leshrac, and just give him an Ags. And then let the Leshrac farm and like have Alchemist go jungle with like the new Battle Fury, and just have him get a shit ton of money and feed Ag Scepters. Honestly, that could be a thing. I'm not saying it will be, but it could be. Chilling Touch buff can now be removed. I mean, that's just one of those that sometimes you're like finishing a fight and then you try to take a tower and it doesn't work on towers, so all you're doing is attacking slower. So that's just a small buff to him, quality of life. Axe, cast point increased. It makes it so now that if you're canceling attacks on him, you have to actually have to finish the attack, and slightly reduced his attack bonus from his ultimate and speed bonus. I think these are all like small nerfs that he needed, but they're not too much. Do you think Octarine Core is good on Storm? Everything about that I'll talk about when I get to the item itself, please. The new Battle Fury I'll talk about when I get there as well. Brain Sap mana cost, I mean, the biggest problem with Bane is all of his abilities cost like a gajillion mana, so that's just a small buff for him that will help a lot. This makes it so you can Nightmare somebody and they can't see around them, you know, so that's really useful. That's actually a pretty big buff as well. And then Nightmare End can now be used by Bane. That's also just a buff to him as well. You can make it so that you don't want that target Nightmared anymore, and you don't want to have to use spells on them to break it, so you can just break it whenever you want. I think those are overall pretty good quality of life things for Bane. I think it's going to be... heroes like Treant Protector. Oh, God. Oh, God. Alchemist into Ag Scepter Rush for Treant? That's actually... No, just like imagine that. A hero that actually farms. Oh, man. People are blowing my mind with these ideas. Basically nerf the shit out of Bat this patch. I mean, every patch, I'm like... Every time they nerf him, I'm like, oh, he's not going to be useful anymore. And then for some reason, he is. Overall, the damage is basically from 50, like from this to 50, 100, 150, 200. It's damage over time, which usually you think, oh, it cancels blinks and all, but usually you want to burst someone down. Like, damage over time is nice for canceling blinks, but you want the damage to be done instantly. So instead, like, all the regen they have over time is now reduced, or like reduces the effective damage. Alchemipo. Firefly damage reduced from this to, I mean, it's basically half. I mean, at level 1, that's huge. Like, the hero needs levels, right? I mean... I don't know. I'm calling that Batrider is going to be, and like his ultimate's still amazing, but at the same time his farming speed's less, and Flame Break's just worse. Beastmaster base damage, already a high base damage hero, increased. Wild Axe's cast point improved. Just little things for this hero. I think he was already viable, especially like when you saw it by teams like C9 with Fada. I think we'll be seeing a lot of this hero. I think this helps him mid a lot, just having that small amount of base damage. Bat will always be useful so long as Lasso just exists. That's what I was saying. Like, his ultimate's still amazing, but he has to get items, right? It does more damage with Napalm now, though. How so? Oh, Flame Break. Oh. I mean, yeah, but, like... I don't know. Like, you don't really Flame Break to farm creeps nearly as much, and... I don't know. I like you'd have to have at least, so you'd have to have on heroes, you would have to have two stacks to do, or one stack to do as much as before, or no, it'd be still less because it'd be like 2 stacks to do more, and it's still damage over time. So I don't know. I still think it's a nerf, but you're right. That is a good point. But yeah, the Alchemist thing is just really good for heroes that, like Tiny, that get a 6th slot off of it. People keep talking about it. But it's basically like giving them a 7th slot. Thirst bonus scales from 100% or 100 to 25%. This basically means that you used to get like the threshold bonus, like you'd see them at 25, but you wouldn't get the full movement speed until 0. So this is a buff, makes it so that you get the full buff at 25%, which is, you know, Could make the hero. It's better, but I'm not sure how much it'll matter. Thirst vision threshold from 30% to 25. So basically, they kind of buffed it here and then kind of nerfed it here. So overall, I do think it's a buff, though. This is actually huge for Bounty Hunter. Huge mana problems on the hero. You'd always have to buy a bunch of mana regen. I already said that the new Flame Blade cancels Blink, but I don't think that makes up for the instant burst damage about it. That's what I already said that, though. I think you'd rather do the burst damage than have the Blink canceling from an ability like that. Especially when he has like Firefly and shit that you should already be canceling. But they buff the damage while reducing the mana, or like nerfing the mana cost. Technically, it's like earlier on it does more damage significantly, which is a big deal. It goes from 100 to 150. But the biggest thing is it's a little bit less mana at level 4 and it's more damage. The cast range is reduced, but the whole track bounce range thing is increased. Overall, I think that this is the biggest buff to Bounty Hunter. Not only is the mana cost about the same once you really look at it, but the hero is going to have that extra bit of mana from every level, which is huge. You saw what it did to Timbersaw like 3 patches back. Thoughts on Macropyre changes? When I get to Jakiro, I will talk about it. This is also pretty freaking hilarious. You can see how much gold the enemy has when you track them. Which, hey, you know, like, hey, do they have buyback? Do I think that'll be a huge deal? No, but it could apply. This will be uploaded as a VOD to YouTube. I will highlight it. But yeah, I think that's cute, but I don't know how much big of a difference it will. I mean, Primal Spit no longer provides a bounty. I mean, did you really try to kill the Brewmaster for the bounty? No, I don't think that's a huge deal, but maybe. Bristleback movement speed slightly reduced. I mean, the hero that relies on chasing you, that could, like, honestly, it could make a big difference. We'll really have to see. It'll mostly affect his landing stages, though. Once he gets, like, Sanjin Yasha and a couple, like, levels in his ultimate, I don't think it'll be nearly as big of a difference. But Visceral Nasal Goo, they basically made it so, like, you'd want to skill it. Some people were doing, like, 1 level plus stats, or just leaving it at 3 points. It makes it so it's much more of a linear scale. I like that a lot better. Do you think the... People are asking me about items right now. Well, I'll talk about, like, please just ask questions on what I'm going through. I'm going through it, but I want to be all encompassing because this is only one video I'm going to make about it. I thought this was something they should do. So now Broodmother can buy shit like Desolator. I think that'd be pretty insane sometimes. And also just slight buff to her. I think that Broodmother was already a pretty solid hero, and I think she'll be even better now. So, Return now triggers when attacks land. Same thing as a counter helix. I don't think that's a big deal for him. You won't see those fails of the week with the auto attacking, or like the auto attack canceling Nature's Prophet killing himself. But other than that, it doesn't really make much of a difference. This is pretty hilarious. Aghanim Scepter on Centaur. It says Stampede reduces all incoming damage by 70% and allows allies to run through obstructions. I honestly think that this could make Centaur like mid or carry material even more so than he already is. Simply giving him the ability to reduce 70% damage on any ally from across the map and let them have like Firefly kind of pathing for 3 seconds of haste is pretty insane, alright? I already read it before, but I think that that's a huge buff. I don't know where it'll fit in his build. I know you still need Blink, but I think that this could be like Blink Ag Centaur. Would not surprise me if that becomes the meta. Basically, Chaos Bolt was super random, and they reduced a bit of that randomness. Instead, like it used to be, you could do 1 damage. Instead, it's like minimum of 75. You keep answering chat questions. This will take like 6 hours. Yeah. Well, then don't make me read your thing, man. But yeah, I think that's a slight buff to Chaos Knight. I don't know if it'll make a difference. We're already kind of seeing the hero more a little bit, like you see him every now and then, and you never saw him before. So we'll see. Slight buffs to Clinks. I think the Death Pact cooldown's pretty big. It means that you can have... I don't know. I don't think they'll stack because I know they last for 35, so I don't know if that will stack. I'm pretty sure it'll just replace the other creep. If it does stack, that's pretty insane. But if it doesn't, I think it's just nice because you don't have to like wait till the other one's over to have it start again, you know. So Rocket Flare speed increased. That's a small buff. I don't think we'll really see it. Okay. One of my friends, Sir Lynch-a-lot, will be super happy about this. Well, you say 70% damage reduction is only 70% damage reduction is only for 4 seconds, but how often is that 4 seconds crucial? That's huge. try to, like, reducing somebody's ability to kill your ally for 4 seconds. You can TP respawn. They're running at you hasted, getting away from them. That's a huge deal. You can't underestimate 4 seconds of 70% damage reduction. But I think Crystal Maiden will be one of the next big supports. I think this attack slow is huge, as well as the slow duration being 4.5 at all levels. 50% attack slow, or 50 attack slow is pretty massive in an AoE. Also buffed this, and her freezing field is now like a ridiculously low cooldown at all levels. I think that I hope to see Crystal Maiden back in the meta. I love having that mana regen as a carry. But yeah, I think that we'll be seeing a lot of Crystal Maiden from these patch changes. Ion Shell increased duration. That's really useful for this hero. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Darkseer. These are huge buffs. They slightly nerfed the damage, but then the duration's 45 at all levels. People were not even leveling it because there was only 15, and then they also buffed the mana cost down, so like the hero isn't hurting for mana anymore. And also the change to Mana Boots mech thing, talking about that later, will be a huge buff to Darkseer as well. Alch Centaur sounds extremely good now. Thoughts? That is another hero could be combined with. I mean, there's so many heroes with Acceptors, like AA, for instance, like that will never farm it. You never know, man. This Alch thing could be a huge game-breaking, like this hero's OP as shit, or it could just not matter at all, because it's still a 4K gold item that you're giving to someone else. So, for all I know, you could see Alchemist Battle Furies or one Battle Fury with just feeding other people items. You never know. But these buffs to Darkseer will be huge. I think that he'll be seen a lot based on the mana reduction, as well as being able to. You can almost leave Wall of Replica at level 1 now, and the Ion Shell duration is just a nice thing. Saves him mana kind of by default, anyways. See donations. Okay, I will. All donations and subs will be acknowledged after I finish the patch analysis. So. Exorcism Spirit count increased for the lower levels. I honestly think this hero is still shit. I don't think she'll do anything. Maybe I'll be surprised. That's my personal opinion on the hero. Poison Touch level 4 damage from 32 to 36. I mean, it's one thing. Like, you don't even max Poison Touch as support Dazzle, so maybe carry Dazzle's more viable, or like mid Dazzle, but I don't think that'll make a difference. Another slight buff to Disruptor. I think that hero's already approaching usefulness. Why is this not scrolling? My Dota is freezing. Sorry, guys. Thoughts on stacking Ancients globally with Clockwork? Well, the Rocket Flare does not stack creeps unless you're in range to aggro them, so that won't work. What the fuck? What is going on, guys? What? So everything else is working, and then this tab is just shitting itself. Okay, I'm gonna try reloading Dota real quick. If not, then I'll do a full like share screen thing with or like you guys can see my screen, and I'll just have it in a browser. This is not my computer, man. This is Dota. I can use a browser, guys. I already said I can do this, but I'd prefer to read it in client, alright? Refresher relaunch. Banana Slam Jam is now online. Open notes on website. Guys, I already know I can open it on a website. I would just prefer it because it's much easier for the sake of the stream to have it here. Is it really not going to work? Is it really not going to work? Come on, throw me a bone, Dota. Really? Okay. We're bringing the Dota patch notes on here. Oh. Right when I said it. Okay. This game is teasing the shit out of me right now. Do you think that Bounty Hunter needs an Acceptor upgrade? No, I think that they already upgraded him a lot, and that hero I don't think would want to have to fill a slot with that, you know? So I think that wouldn't help him all that much. Let's go ahead and get back to where we were. I apologize for that brief You can use a browser. I know, man. If it happens again, I'll result to a browser, right? Breathe Fire now also reduces base damage by percentage. That's actually pretty huge. That's basically the cooldown. I know it's like, I think it's 12-second cooldown on that ability. I mean, that's just another way to reduce damage. I think that'll add a lot to the hero because he's already meant to be like a tank, so if you can reduce the carry's base damage by that much, I think that's a pretty big deal. Corrosive Breath is now lethal. That will probably matter sometimes. I mean, it's one of those things where sometimes you'd be like, you would have died if that was lethal damage, so that could make a big difference. And then also just increasing the splash damage. I think that Dragonite may be viable now as a carry. I still think he's too weak to lane mid. I may be wrong about that. He maybe started treating like a Magnus in terms of like you just used Breathe Fire to get creep at, like you can get enough you can just get enough creeps using Breathe Fire, but we'll see. I think he'd be more viable as a carry now than he would be as a mid hero still. Nerfed Earth Spirit, made it so that Boulder Smash is weaker early on but better later. Made it so Geomagnetic Grip is simply worse, and then they make it so that you can now Magnetize can now be dispelled. So that's a pretty big deal, honestly. You can like purge it with Slark. I mean, like Earth Spirit Slark pick, boom. That's a pretty big deal. As well as the fact that and then also Rolling Boulder was not like, apparently there's a glitch where if you used it the hex at a certain time, Rolling Boulder wasn't interrupted. So that's also a slight nerf to the hero. But the main thing is these nerfs to him, as well as I think the dispelling is the biggest one. This will be a VOD on YouTube for anybody who's asking. Echo Stomp channel time is slightly lower, and the cooldown is slightly lower. I still don't think this hero is going to be very good. We'll see. I don't think that's what he needed to have fixed. I think that the spirit damage was a big nerf. Untouchable attack slow, slightly increased. Could make a difference. I don't know. They keep buffing it, and it's still not like making her viable. I think she needs... Oh my god, I didn't even see this. Holy shit. Okay, that's actually a big deal. Huge. That's fucking huge. Used to be that like you countered this with BKB and you countered this with BKB. Hey, I think that Enchantress is pretty legit now. I'm gonna say that straight up right now. I don't play the hero. Obviously, I'm not a jungler / support player. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be pretty insane now. As a jungler, used to counter with BKB, and now that it only counters half her kit. So it's kind of like equating her to like Lina and Quap now, you know, like you can only counter half their kit with a BKB. Enchantress, Roshing, I don't think is... I mean, she would help, she would do it faster with... I think you could still Rosh before, because it's just pure damage, and it's not like Rosh is magic immune, he's just has like 90% or 80% magic resist. So I don't think that affects Roshing at all. I don't know if that's still... I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think that's the big deal about it. So, yeah. That's my freaking mic, like, unplugging itself, alright? In terms of the window notifications. I don't know why it does that. So Midnight Pulse cast point slightly improved, and then now Black Hole does a constant damage instead of, like... It was really hard to get people in the very middle, so I think overall that's a huge buff to the hero. It just makes him do more damage. I mean, 165 a second, like, it used to be that people would just leave Black Hole at level 1. That's actually... That's like, if you channel it for 4 seconds, that's 660 damage? That's pretty huge. Your analysis over Leviathan's sick, dude. Yeah, I didn't know you guys could hear the USB disconnect. I'm done with it. Sorry about that. Black Hole mana cost is now reduced, like, at the higher levels. People were just leaving it at 1 point, so I really like what they did here. They've fixed the fact that people were leaving Black Hole at 1 point. And then Rocket Barrage no longer has a cast point. That's actually insane. Like, if you remember in the old days when Leshrac didn't have a cast point on his Diabolic Edict and then he could just chase you down with it, that's actually pretty insane, because the big deal about Rocket Barrage is, like, you have to be point blank and you have to be keeping up with them, right? So, like, reducing that's actually a huge deal. I didn't notice that change earlier. That's actually a pretty big buff to him. I think that'll make a big difference. I don't think this will make much of a difference at all, but I think that's a pretty huge buff. The enchantment refresh duration on your creeps is really useful too. Yeah, definitely. I saw that. I should have mentioned it. That definitely is an important buff. It basically makes her an effective Chin when she has maxed enchant. But at the same time, it still costs mana, so I don't know. I think that the biggest change is Impetus going through spell immunity, but maybe the bigger change will be the other one as well. Inner Vitality cast range increased. I mean, that kind of matters. I never really had a problem ever casting it on somebody, but maybe. The cooldown itself is kind of a big deal because it's a 16 duration. So now at level 3, you'll have you'll have basically permanent Inner Vitality, and at level 2, it's almost permanent. So, like it used to be that it's 16 duration, so you'd have to have level 4, and you'd have to cast it right on right the second the other one ended. So this may not seem like that big of a change, but because the duration itself is 16, I think that's a pretty huge buff for Huskar. Honestly, the fact is that you can have it almost permanent at the reason why this is such a big deal is having it almost permanently at level 2 is that I can have 2 points in Inner Vitality at level 11 with maxed out passives. As well as only 1 point in his ultimate, and I can have basically permanent Inner Vitality. Before, I'd have to wait until level 13, which is a lot farther off than 11. I will be uploading a VOD of this, yes, for people who keep joining in. Pretty huge buffs to Invoker this patch. I mean, 0.7 int, that's nothing to be trifled with. I mean, that's like 8 mana every level that he has extra. I mean, if you ever were 7 mana short of something at some point in the game, you'd now have it. Invoke no longer triggers cooldown if you only swap the ability slots. One thing in the few games I've ever played Invoker is I was like, why can't I just have it so that Fire Spirits, I want to get rid of it, or Forge Spirits is I want to get rid of it, but I want the other ability to still be there. So now you can swap them. That's really cool. It costs mana still, obviously, but if, especially if an Ags, I don't know, reduces the cooldown entirely for all those fast finger people. Sundrake's cooldown reduced. I don't think that will make that much big of a difference, but the other 2 big changes are huge. This is pretty lousy change. I think it's sick, but basically when you're level 25, your Deafening Blast is a 360 Deafening Blast. I mean, that just makes the hero better in the late game, but that's pretty crazy. I can't wait to see that shit, but I don't know much about that hero. Huskar gets fucked by the new break item, though. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a second here. So let's see. Relocate, double click, now teleports to Fountain. That's just a nice quality of life thing. Sometimes it's really hard to panic relocate somebody to the Fountain, and click the right button on the map. I've had Whitebeard misclick and take us to a weird spot, and it can matter. So I think that's a nice thing for IO. Jakiro base strength increased, and macro prior duration is increased overall for both the regular and Scepter, and the area of effect is increased. I think this hero was really good, and then he fell off with some small nerfs to Liquid Fire, so I like the fact that they're buffing his ultimate. I think the hero's always been still pretty good, he's just never picked, so I think we'll be seeing more Jakiro, but I don't play support, so we'll have to see more so what comes up with that. So once again, they're hyping, they harped on it in the last small patch to Jug, but they're basically making it say, hey, screw you guys who leave Blade Fury at 1 point. That's a pretty big deal. People will probably be maxing out Blade Fury if they pick the hero. So basically, I need to see this. Previously, it also removed your positive buffs, so I'm guessing that it no longer removes positive buffs. So I think that's a buff. Slight nerf to the movement speed on Healing Ward. This is probably his biggest nerf, though. Omni Slash no longer mini stuns. You see it a lot. I will run at a guy, and if they're sitting in a creep wave, you know how people kind of sit in a creep wave and try to be running around from you, and so you can't Omni Slash them. Now their immediate response, if they're in the middle of a creep wave, what you could do is you could just start whacking them, hitting them a bunch, and if they start to TP, you simply use your Omni Slash to break the TP, even if you're not going to kill them with the Omni Slash itself. So now if somebody sees Juggernaut running at them, they can just instantly TP. And also, along with the fact that you can Ghost Scepter TP now is a big difference, and you can't break it with Omni Slash. That's a pretty big nerf to Jug. I think we might still be seeing some of him, but not nearly as much as we used to. I'm honestly surprised they nerfed him this hard. Oh, it used to remove runes. That's what I figured. Yeah, okay. Honestly, that's what I thought. So maybe I guess it doesn't remove double damage now. But it used to. But BKB does as well. Mask of Madness never got disabled by Blade Fury, so I don't know. Mana Leak cooldown from 16 to... I don't want to say that. Maybe it did. I really don't think it did. Because I played that hero a lot. Mana Leak cooldown from 16 to 16, 14, 12, 10. I hate that freaking ability, so they're just making Coddle much more annoying. Now adds a Chakra Magic, now adds a buff that reduces the cooldown of the next spell its target cast by 1. It's one of those that, I would have to think about it, but what ability in the game is significantly better with a 4-second reduced cooldown? Like, if it was like a percentage thing, maybe, but like, maybe you guys can point out some, but I don't think that's a huge big. I mean, it's a small thing. It's all it's doing is adding it, but I don't think it's a huge deal. 4-second cooldown reduction. And then Scepter Illuminate heal percentage from 75 to 100%. I mean, they're just making this hero that much better. I'm surprised we're not seeing Coddle already. Mana Leak's a ridiculous skill when they buffed it last patch. It did remove Mom. Mom used to end after Blade Fury. Oh, it used to end after. Interesting. But yeah, Phantom Lancer. Luna gives Weaver a free Sakuchi. Death Prop, Wraith King Stun, Sleight of Fist, Zeus Bolt. Oh, okay, Zeus Bolt. Thank you. That's a good one. Because I'm thinking of heroes that actually rely on mana. Like, Zeus is a pretty big deal. Like, Coddle Zeus is a thing. Okay, interesting. So then we have, I think we'll be seeing more Coddle. Like, I'm saying that right now. Kunkka. Kunkka no longer turns to cast Torrent. That's actually a huge buff. Now you can, like, run away and throw a Torrent, and they don't know exactly where you're throwing it at all. That's pretty big. It used to be really, like, telegraphed, where you could see Torrent. I think that's a big deal. Reduced the cooldown as well, and then he also had huge mana problems, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Are you kidding? Like, any stun? It's like, I mean, I guess most stuns are like 8 to 10 second cooldown, but I don't know. I feel like 4 seconds is like cool and all, but in the middle, like, when is that going to apply? I guess to ganks, you know? Like, you set them up with the chakra magic, maybe. I'll have to see it in action. I think that this Legion Commander is insane, alright? I'll talk about the item sector in a second, but Moment of Courage attack chance is now 25% at all levels, and the lifesteal is significantly higher, but now basically what scales is the cooldown, so what this means is that only every 2.7 seconds can you actually get that second attack. I think this is a pretty big buff. It'll allow her to sustain a lot better, like if you start jungling early on, or if you start even just in lane. Most of the time in lane, when you like attack somebody, you'll counterattack them once and they'll back off. So this will make her much significantly better at harassing and then backing off. So maybe I think that'll improve her laning stage. But the Aghanim Sector upgrade to Legion Commander. Duel lasts until either Legion Commander or her target dies. End of duelists are ever more than 2,000 range apart. I mean, the whole big deal about this is, like, you know, you're going down with me, alright? Oh, Crystal Maiden's done with 6 second to 2 second, yeah. But okay, the biggest deal about this, I think, is, like, I don't know. Like, Legion Commander needs damage. I don't think she'll have room for an Ag Scepter. Maybe late game? My call right now is that this ain't going to make a difference, the Ag Scepter change. But I think that this will help her early game out a lot. And overall, it just makes it so that she's slightly better with maxed Moment of Courage. And then Leshrac movement speed buffed. I think that the item buffs coming out, or the new items, are a huge buff to this hero already. I think we're going to be seeing Leshrac out the freaking like wazoo. Slow duration is insane now, 1 second. Like, I mean, that's still like that's 33% more. People were maxing the ability in general, anyways. Lower cast point. I mean, freaking A, man. Leshrac is going to be so good. I'm calling it right now. Ice armor cast range increased, and chain frost projectile speed. I don't think this matters at all, but I think this may make a big difference. It's just like, you know, people can separate really fast, so making that harder to do is improving the hero. So Feast is now considered as normal bonus damage, can crit and cleave off of it. I think that's a pretty huge buff. Open wounds, lifesteal, increases farm speed as well. Lifesteal increased from 15 to up to 50. That's also insane. And then there's Ag Scepters, just freaking clowny in my opinion. Grants a new skill called Assimilate. Assimilate allows Lifestealer to target an ally hero and swallow them, allowing them to hide in sight of Lifestealer. Basically a reverse of his other ultimate. Any healing, or in reverse of Infest, any healing Lifestealer receives is shared with the assimilated hero. The assimilated hero can release itself at any time, basically like Lifestealer, and does the same amount of basically the damage that Lifestealer's ultimate does in an area of effect. And Lifestealer dies or assimilates another hero, the currently assimilated hero will automatically exit. It doesn't say how long the cooldown is. I don't know if there's a cooldown, but it doesn't say anything about that. I think that this basically makes Lifestealer viable as a 4 position. When I played briefly on a route, we loved playing him as a 4 position. I think that he can jungle a lot faster now. or not jungle a lot faster. Sorry. He can help out a lot. I was going to say jungle a lot faster because of this, but then I realized it doesn't make a difference. I think he can actually just help a lot more by giving 50% lifesteal on any target at any time for any of his heroes. Like, I mean, it's spell. This is also spell steal. Like, this is also the same as that other item that came out. So that's a pretty big buff to him and his team, like making him more of a 4 position. And then this makes it so he's basically like a phoenix that can save his teammate. Imagine like the blink lifesteal that saves his teammate. You can eat someone and then go inside someone though. Oh, that can you actually? Can you eat somebody and then infest? That's crazy. It's like 60 to 70-second cooldown. I don't know why it doesn't say anything about that. Aghanim Scepter upgraded Laguna no longer increases cast range. I mean, everyone was complaining about Lina. I think she needed something. That's a start. I think she's still really strong. So we'll see. True form is no longer removed by death. I mean, it's really annoying if you got an Aegis on Lone Druid and you came back with half the health because you came back in range form. So that's a pretty big buff. Makes him a better Aegis carrier. He was already pretty good because the bear survives. Battlecry armor increased. Damage increased. And then Aghanim Scepter allows the Spirit Bear to attack from any range. And it prevents Spirit Bear from dying if Lone Druid dies. Okay, so I'm pretty sure Admiral Bulldog Craigasmed all over his computer screen. 3-man gank bomb with Storm Spirit. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he Craigasmed all over his computer screen about these changes. Like the thing about Aghanim Scepter you have to worry about, nice spelling, is that you're limited on slots. But on a hero like Lone Druid, the hero puts all of his items on the bear anyway, right? So farming up this like 3rd or 4th item could be ridiculous. I mean, you can split push 2 lanes, one with your hero, one with the bear, and then if your hero gets picked off, then your bear continues pushing anyways. I mean, that's actually pretty insane, especially in the late game. This basically makes it so you can be 2 places at once. This is insane. I think that I hate this hero, but I might need to learn this hero. I mean, when I say learn it, start practicing this hero again. I can kind of play it, but I think that this Aghanim Scepter is going to add a huge dynamic, and I'm going to have to watch Bulldog to understand it. Luna, her base armor increased. I mean, that's pretty sick. Good for her laning stage. It may not seem like much, but 1 armor will make a difference. I said her laning stage needed to be helped, and that's a start. And then this is pretty insane. I mean, makes it so you can hit a hero 5 times. I mean, that's going to matter, but I think the biggest thing is, like they're trying to make you buy an Aghanim Scepter on Luna, alright? They're trying so hard, alright? So, like, it allows Eclipse to be cast on an area within 2,500 range. That is so far. And so basically you could have a 2,500 range solo kill on, like, a support that's not near creeps. I mean, that's pretty insane. I know it's on a long cooldown. I don't know exactly. I think the Ag Scepter reduces the cooldown, but either way, I think it's still a pretty long time. And you get the XP from controlled units. Remind you, yes. Sorry, I mean, I didn't even, like, consider that now. Thank you for mentioning that. But so now the bear can basically be like a semi-meepo. Lone Druid's like a semi-meepo. But he has to get an Ag Scepter to be in any way. That's pretty insane. But also at the same time, if your bear gets Radiance Burn like from across the map, that now gives you XP as well. So that's a pretty big buff to that hero overall, both of those things. I mean, either way, these are pretty insane. You can also target an allied hero. I mean, I don't know what this is going to make a Luna, but we might actually be seeing Aghanim Scepters purchased on Luna. Split Shot and Mana Shield are no longer removed on death. I mean, the same thing as the Lone Druid. It's just really annoying if you got stun locked right after you came back to life as Medusa and you were half as tanky because you didn't have Mana Shield on. The changes of Meepo really confuse me. I mean, this is a very slight buff, and then Divided We Stand no longer makes him spawn faster. I mean, why'd they nerf him? Boggles my mind. I don't play the hero, but I don't know why he got nerfed. Starstorms, that's like one of the most questionable changes in the entire thing. Basically make it so that your second hit range is significantly larger, and it will hit the unit closest to Mirana, so you can reduce the randomness of it. That's pretty big, but not a huge deal. Basically made a Dactyl Strike projectile like ETH Blade. It's a pretty good nerf to support Morphling, but I think it's still going to be viable. It's just now it's like dodgeable by other heroes. Like you can at least like have time to Jug Spin it or Slark Purge it, stuff like that. These Aghanim Scepters of this patch are insane. Grants a new ability called Hybrid. Allows Morphling to target an ally, turning himself into a hybrid illusion, removing the Morphling himself. This hybrid illusion, so basically you can't kill Morphling. This hybrid illusion can cast non-ultimate abilities and has your original attributes. So basically you can like be an alchemist, or no, okay, alchemist is shitty because he has no ultimate. You could be a Terrorblade with Morphling's Agi. All right, just think about it. All right, when the duration, like imagine like farming an offlane Morphling, turning him into like an ETH Blade carrier, Ag Scepter, and having full Agi morphed, and like being a Terrorblade with it. I'm just saying, like imagine that kind of shit. When the duration ends or the hybrid dies, your hero emerges. I mean, it lasts 20 seconds, so it's a long cooldown, but that's just like a Terror, like you can do it with Terrorblade, right? Your hero emerges, cannot end prematurely. Ability is not available while you have the replicant living. I'm assuming that Morphling simply can't die. I'm assuming that Morphling simply can't die. 6.84 Alk plus Ags. Yeah. Undying double tombstone. Oh shit. That's pretty good too. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those things. It's almost impossible to predict what this is going to add, you know. But I think it could be pretty insane. Ensnare cooldown from 14 to 12. That's a nice buff. Makes it so that this is nice. I mean, Ensnare was like the end-all late game or like end-all counter to like heroes like Lifestealer and Lycanthrope. So like now this is nice that it makes it so heroes like that aren't completely effed by Naga Siren, and then Ensnare is no longer removed by Ethereal. Like it used to be that you couldn't remove it from BKB, and now you could remove it with just a Ghost Scepter. But like so, heroes like Lycan never bought Ghost Scepter. But that's nice. So I like that change overall. It doesn't nerf the item. I think it's actually better for her now, but it's like worse. It's better against supports, worse against carries. Max Agi and Drow were oh shit. I wonder if that stacks. Like if you have two Drows on your team, I'd be curious. Like one of them's Morphling, one of them's Drow. Song of the Siren Scepter now regenerates you and nearby allies by 6%, so it basically makes her... I was thinking of the hero earlier. It basically makes her like Phoenix with a Sunray, except for it's an AoE Song of the Scepter, or Song of the Siren. I think that this whole Aghanim Scepter upgrade, they're like leaning towards her being more of a support with this. I don't think Carrie Naga would ever buy this, so I think that that's making her possibly better as a support. I think that Naga support definitely could be a thing, but once again, I don't know. I think that she's more of a carry. Bear doesn't give you XP for anything other than hero kills. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. You're right. That's interesting. Got it. In the test client, you can turn Morph into Nikes, eat one person, have Nikes eat Morph, and then infest better. What the fuck, man? That's some Inception stuff going on right there. Sprout cast range increased from 6. I mean, that's just a big deal for him. Makes it he's a hero that doesn't want to be in the middle of everything, and makes it so that now he doesn't have to be. And it's just in general like better. Like sometimes you'll get fogged, or like you won't be able to get the ability off, but now you can. Sprout duration. It used to be a 1-point wonder. Makes it slightly better now. Nature's Call Treant base damage is huge. This honestly might make him a jungler. Like that's pretty insane increase. I mean, that's 6 out of 22. That's like a 33% increase. That's pretty insane, man. This is patch for Outcasts. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty big. All right, this is a pretty big deal. And then this is fucking hilarious. This is clowny. This is clowny. Wrath of Nature now spawns a Nature's Call Treant whenever it kills a unit. Split pushing God. Not only does he kill entire creep waves, but he spawns basically an entire creep wave when he kills it. I mean, we're going to be seeing a lot of that. And then killing a hero will spawn a stronger Treant, 3 times damage, an 84 damage Treant, and health of a normal one. Okay? I'm actually so excited, alright, about this. I think it's going to be clowny. I think this hero is going to be, honestly, Ag Scepter Rush material. We'll see. Maybe Ag Scepter like second or third item. I think it's pretty exciting. How would double tether and one relocate work? I don't know, man. That if you tethered the eye, like that's the kind of stuff that I'd have no fucking clue, dude. How am I supposed to know? But yeah, Bulldog is back, man. Holy crap! Lone Druid and Nature's Prophet were given the freaking steroids this patch. All these Ags is also a buff to Alchemist. Yes, very much so. They buffed Night Stalker, who I don't really think needed to be buffed. Pretty small buff. They did nerf him with one of the items, though, so I guess that's okay. We'll talk about that in a bit. I mean, basically, it just increases the attack speed slow, which is nice. Spiked Carapace no longer removes Vendetta. Man, was it a bitch if you were a Nyx Assassin, you beat Vendetta, they detect you, and you would have to lose your Vendetta bonus by simply defending yourself with Spiked Carapace. I think that's a pretty big deal for this hero. That buff alone is really big, but I mean, also this Aghanim Scepter is pretty weird. Adds another ability, Burrow, which has a 1 second cast time, and basically Nyx Assassin can sit there. I think this will help with stuff like Roche, and he's invisible, and he's unable to move and attack, but he has 40% damage resistance, and he basically gives him a heart, and like that also works on mana. And then all has improved properties, so meaning that mana burn and pale can be cast from longer range. So say he's like sitting, like he blinks up on the cliff at Roche. This is pretty insane, right? So he has the vision, and then he can cast things on you from super far away. And then impale cooldown is reduced from 13 to 9, and Spike Carapace instantly stuns stuff. So he can either sit there or like in the entrance to the Roche pit. That's pretty insane, right? Like as a counter initiating in the Roche pit. I mean I think that offers a lot to this hero. I don't know when he would buy Ag Scepter, maybe like Blink Ags, but otherwise, I don't know. Oh. Thank you, Lynch. But yeah, I'm curious, man. That's one of those that every time you see an Aghanim Scepter, you're like, oh, that's so cool. But it's still like 4,000 gold, and on a hero like Nyx, I can't farm. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe like Midas Nyx will be a thing. Purification cast point improved. I mean, slight improvement. I mean, Omni Knight's kind of mediocre. We'll see. Ags Refresher on Nature's Prophet, and Ags with Treant turn every creep into a tree. Oh, shit. I'm telling you, man, the limits to that are endless, man. Not only can you like kill creep waves and summon trees, but you can also like kill like say the 2 small satyrs at a camp with vision on it with a ward, and then kill the 2 big satyrs with like in the medium camp with the Treants that you summoned from the other ones. I mean, it's just, I mean, the possibilities for farming on that hero are crazy with Ag Scepter. Purifying Flames, mana cost reduced. I'm surprised they buffed this hero a lot, but cooldown reduced. This is the ability that heals you over time. You can now target creeps. I mean, I don't know how big of a difference that will make. False Promise no longer makes the target invisible, but instead, I actually think this is better on the competitive scene if this hero's ever added. But instead of being invisible, it now makes it so that you basically can't get stunned for 6, 7, and 8 seconds. It's a longer cooldown because it's better than it used to be. But I don't know if like the 20-second cooldown was a huge deal on this hero. I think it's a big deal that the ultimate itself is better. So I think we'll be seeing Oracle if she's ever added. So we can call this the Ags patch. Yeah, they keep doing this in every patch. Like so many Ag Scepters. But yeah, I think this will be pretty exciting for this hero. I don't really care all that much until he or she, whatever it is added into Captain's mode. But okay, so this is insane. Apparently they want OD to be viable by Ag. So Ag Scepter Sanity's Eclipse now affects everyone in the AoE of effect with, or area of effect with Astral Imprisonment. So basically it gives him, what, 65 int if he hits all 5 people. It doesn't trigger the mana drain. So basically like took away the buff from last patch, realizing it didn't do anything, and then make it so that you get Astral Imprisonment off on everybody. So it's basically like a kind of a Naga song, right? That works for 4 seconds, and you can't cut it off, and it also gives them a shit ton of int. But, yeah, it could be pretty insane. We'll have to see. I'm sure the possibilities are endless with that kind of thing. Fire Spirits now give an unobstructed reveal of the area it hits for 1 second. I don't understand this a bit in terms of the fact that I think that's pretty ridiculous to give a hero vision on an ability, and this hero's already freaking picked all the time, so... Whatever, I think it's really big buff. We'll see. This basically makes, like, we'll see a lot of Phoenix already, and we'll see even more of her now. And then waning rift damage increased at lower levels. I mean, it's the same at the highest level. This basically makes it so that going like 4-1-1, like maxing orb first and then waning rift next, just makes her all that much burst damage earlier on. I think that helps Puck a lot, especially in the laning stage. If you go like level 1 silence as well, just for getting CS. Pudge, Rip Pudge, I mean, this is nice. I don't think it'll make a difference, honestly. This patch will be a shitstorm. Yeah, it will, seriously. There's so much new stuff that, like, it's going to be so hard to keep track of everything. Decrepify, they basically made it so, like, it used to be, like, leave Decrep at 1 point if Pugna was ever picked, so they made it so that it scales a lot, like, it's worse earlier on, but scales better. Longer duration overall, which is nice, especially for defensive purposes. and offensive, but the slow is also lower, so it's kind of like trade-off. The cooldown's also higher at lower levels, so they basically made it so like instead of scaling simply the duration and the cooldown, it's like a higher scale on the cooldown, and like the actual what you get out of it's more. So you'll want to max it earlier on because of how good it is. But I still think this hero is going to be not very great. They did buff his ultimate, but they also reduced its cast time at lower levels, and most of the game is played when you're before level 16, so we'll see. I think this hero is still not really going to see much, especially when this no longer increases cast range, so we'll see. That's my opinion. I don't think the hero will see much play, but you never know. Especially maybe because of the new items, maybe he'll see more play. Smokescreen no longer slows attack speed. It now reduces turn rate by 30%. I think that's pretty cool, especially against stuff like supports that are trying to run away from you. A BKB carry doesn't really care about the attack speed anyway because they're going to BKB out of it. It basically makes it so that like it's harder to turn around and run from him if that's the only way to go. So that's good. Is Oracle basically a walking 8-second BKB? Not really, because you can still nuke somebody and stuff, but like they just won't get disabled. So it's basically like an 8-second Slark Purge, is what it is. Like that's really what it is. It's not an 8-second BKB at all. Yeah, I said Astral Imprisonment lasts for 4 seconds, so basically Odile becomes like a 4-second Naga Sleep that steals in. So then Rubik is basically makes it so that creep waves are more tanky when you're pushing. That's nice. A little small buff that can make a difference. This Cosmic Finale change is pretty cool, from 8 to 6 seconds on the duration, but now it always triggers, and at the end of it, whenever it does trigger, either at the end of the 6 seconds or when the thing dies, it deals 30% of the damage. It deals full damage if the unit dies, and 30% if it just triggers, which is pretty cool. And then it also no longer resets the duration on a unit that already has a debuff, but it now applies a 20% move slow when the damage triggers, which is nice. That's pretty cool. Basically makes him have a slow, which could be useful sometimes, maybe in lane. We'll have to see on that one. Shadow Demon has a spammable ability that just got reduced by 20% on mana cost. I think that's a pretty big deal. And then Demonic Purge now applies Break. So if you want to pick Phantom Assassin, you're going to have to ban this hero. Unless the hero never farms Aghanims, but I feel like this could make him very much more of a 4 position, or even a mid, honestly, with these kind of changes. I mean, he used to be played as a mid way back. I think that this would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think this would be pretty insane if you put him with farm with an Axe Scepter. Shadow Shaman, we all know, if you've ever played him, he's squishy as fuck, so I feel like that's all they wanted to address with him. See if that fixed enough. This helps a lot. I mean, that's 38 health to start, and that's also just every level. It's about 4 health. So hey, every little bit counts on a support, right? So I think that might help him out a lot. Silencer, slightly slower on a hero that originally had no slow, is kind of tough, but he now does. You now have a shorter amount of time to cast abilities when you're on Last Word, which is a slight buff to him. But it now applies a move speed slow whenever it triggers. So basically, instead of disarming somebody, which I honestly think was better as a support hero to disarm than it is to slow, especially for trading, especially like with harassing the offlaner or something, that now he slows you. So we'll see. I think that disarm was better, so in my opinion, that's a nerf. Yeah, that's my opinion on that here. I was just reading chat. Slithering Crush damage, slightly buffed. More important at the lower levels based on percentages. Like 50 to 75 is 50% compared to 200 to 225 is, 12% increase. I think it's a small buff. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it is a small buff, but I don't know if it'll make a big enough difference. Here's the moment we've all been waiting for. Sniper agility gained from 2.9 to 2.5. That's just what they did to Jug last patch. Shrapnel recharge time, as we all expected, increased significantly to 55 seconds. Shrapnel delay is now increased to 1.4. It's like once you use the shrapnel when it lands, so that makes it much easier to like blink dodge shrapnel. In terms of like you can't shrapnel somebody and then they can't blink out. Like it used to be that like with this patch you can just shrapnel on top of somebody and they wouldn't be able to blink, but now it's much easier to do so. Shrapnel now gives vision when the shrapnel lands rather than instantly. That also is a huge difference. especially with the delay. It meant that like if somebody was hiding in the trees, you would lose no sight of them if you shrapnel them immediately. But now you have to wait 1.4 seconds to see them again. That's like 1 or 2 auto attacks, maybe even more, by you and your teammates. Headshot can now miss. I mean, it used to be basically 40% effective MKB. Pretty big deal there, especially against heroes like Phantom Assassin. And then assassinate damage is slightly lower at the earlier levels. Thank God that these happened. Do I think it's too much? I think it is significant. I think the hero will still be viable, no longer a first pick option though. So we'll see what happens with that. The caustic change makes Sand King so much better earlier on for jungling. Interesting. Yeah, I could see that. Okay. So the buff to Spectre here is that reality no longer kills the target illusion and now swaps positions. The biggest application I see about this is that now Spectre can go to the target. This is what I understand at least. She can go to the target and that will swap her position originally with her illusion. So then if she wants to go back to the illusion where she started from, so she basically can like ult from bottom lane, you'll swap with your illusion, which will now be bottom lane, and then you can kill the target, and then in the duration of reality, go back to your illusion. So like, it not only does it make it safer for you, but you can also like, not only does it make it safer for you, but you can also, why am I spacing? Also like, it also increases your farming ability in terms of like going back to where you wanted to be originally. So why would you ever skill Caustic Finale on Sand King? I don't think it'll make a big difference for him jungling. It's just one of those that I think it's nicer if you, especially if you're like solo laning against a melee hero. It makes him better. But we'll see. We'll see if to do that. It still only does 30% damage if you're not actually killing the target. But yeah, Sniper got shafted. I think that this will make a huge difference for Spectre. The other big buff for Spectre is that what I'll see later is the Radiance buff. I think that's makes Spectre so good, and I hate that hero. So I guess we'll be seeing more Spectre. Spearbreaker is one of the big mess-ups I think they had in this patch. I think that if you watch Starladder, you would know that this hero is extremely strong right now. Now it isn't as obvious where the real Spectre is. It's still pretty obvious. You can see the animation and the sound. I don't think that's the main difference. I think the main difference is the fact that she can go back to where she was farming, and also if you like hit it twice in the fight, you don't lose illusions, which is the main problem, or was like the main problem, or like the main setback. Empowering Haste cooldown from 16 to 12. I mean, I already said I think this hero is already really strong, and them buffing him is just, I don't know, man. I think that that's a mistake. We're going to be seeing a lot of this hero. Storm Sphere movement speed reduced, which is good. Ball lightning flying vision reduced significantly, thank God. Screw this hero. I think he's going to get buffed a lot by the items coming up, and I'll talk about that. But so far as this, I'm happy about that hero getting nerfed. I just hate playing against him in pubs as a carry because you can't solo kill him, and he kills all your supports because they're 4K feeders. But we got Warcry armor increased. I don't think that's enough for Sven. We'll see. I don't think that's what he's lacking. I think he gets kited, and that doesn't fix that. Maybe he also got nerfed heavily by Mom. This is a hero that bought Mom, so I think the problem he needed, or maybe this will help him as a support. Then now we have techies. Yay, techies. Landmine activation delay reduced to 0.5. That's pretty huge. And then as well, like you can lay it on top of somebody basically and get it to activate. Stasis trap delay lowered. Stasis trap detonation delay lowered. I mean, this basically makes it from 4 to 3 entirely. So that's really nice for that hero. Suicide attack reduced on the cooldown. Also very nice. I mean, at level 4, when like in the late game, it goes from 150 to 100. That's a pretty significant decrease. I really like this. Now the minefield sign apparently does something. Cooldown significantly increased, but you have to be right there, and it only has a lifetime of 3 minutes, so like you can only be up half the time. But basically, it makes it so that for 3 minutes in a row, you can have a landmine field at your tower that's invulnerable, that they can't find. So if they have to walk up and die to it. I'm super happy about the techies buffs. Woo. Yeah.
What's your mom's opinion?
Hey, your mom is next to you. I know she is. I know she's right here. I'm busy reading the patch notes, guys. She doesn't know anything about this stuff. She was super excited about the Pudge buff. She's like, maybe her Pudge will be viable now. But yeah, so probably maybe we'll see some of the techies. And Acceptor was already a good item on him, so just adds more application to it. Didn't change anything other than just adding something. But yeah, meld cooldown reduced. That's nice for TA. Reflection cast range increased slightly, and the outgoing damage, I don't know. I don't think it's enough. That's my only really comment on the hero. I don't think it's enough. We'll see though. Increases makes his laning stage a bit better, but we'll see. Tidehunter make you want to be more annoyed by Kraken Shell. Woo. Maybe that's just in response to the fact that a lot of things no longer get blocked by damage block, like a lot of those abilities like Shadow Wave and stuff. Maybe that's just a response to say, hey, like since damage block got nerfed, let's increase his damage block amount. Reactive armor now triggers same thing as Centaur and Axe. Not a huge nerf, but it's something. And then they did buff it to make it more stacks, which, hey, you know, could make a difference. You now want to learn Terrorblade due to that damage? Yeah, totally. I am pretty sad that Terrorblade didn't get buffed more, guys. I don't think it's enough. I think it's a really shit buff. Let's see. I keep getting messaged. Okay. So we got Tinker, scaling on the laser blind, that's just a nice buff to him. And rearm mana cost is reduced, which is a huge deal. That hero has a lot of mana problems, even if it's only 25. At lower levels, that's pretty significant percentage decrease. And then Aghanim Scepter laser instead now refracts to visible enemies, so basically like a AoE bounty hunter thing again. The same thing. I'm assuming it applies the blind duration as well, so, you know, AoE blind with Ag Scepter. We'll see. I don't know about that. Everything with Ag Scepters, it's always hard to predict. You can only swap Spectre while her ult is on. Yes. Okay. So we're moving on. People are talking about Terrorblade. So Tiny. Toss grab radius increased, and now it makes it not random, which is really nice. Same thing as Mirana Starfall. It makes it more skill-based, not nearly as random. Really good for the hero. Also made it much, like, if you're highly skilled, you can make sure you get the right unit, and also it makes it so that you have a little bit more range to work with. Slightly nerfed Treon Protector Ags. I think it was necessary, so it's probably good. And then here's the one everyone's been jizzing about. We got Berserker's Rage. I talked about this. I didn't think they'd take it away entirely, but it no longer provides 15 damage. That'll severely hinder his laning stage, as well as simply taking away 15 damage of farming for the entire game. You'll see the Quelling Blade change in a second. We'll also nerf this hero. Ranged Whirling Axes no longer provide 800 vision, and melee Whirling Axes no longer provide 500 vision. So I talked about as well as changes I thought. They basically gave flying vision around him with the melee Whirling Axes, and the ranged Whirling Axes gave flying vision in front of him. Makes it a lot more difficult to chase people when they juke you through trees. And then Battle Trance duration reduced from 7 to 5. Honestly, I think they nerfed this hero too hard. We'll see. I don't think he'll even be viable at all. Sadly, I really liked the hero before he was overpowered, and then he became cancer, and now he's going to be irrelevant, in my opinion. We will have to see, my friends. So I think he's pretty much done for. They also did this, basically the same as Lone Druid and all that stuff, so you come back in melee form if you die. That doesn't nearly make up for all this crap. But yeah. So Tusk, hero I think we all like to see. Ice Shard's mana cost reduced from 120 to 90. The cooldown is also a little bit higher at first level, but lower later on. And then the vision reveal is longer, which is nice. And then like it'll be easier to get your snowball off on a target, as well as like seeing where they're juking from around your ice shards. And then snowball speed is now a constant 675, which makes it more predictable, which is also very fast. And then it no longer auto-loads units. I don't know about that. I would have maybe liked it to auto-load units for the sake of instant, like, snowball at somebody. But you can also add allies while moving, so that at a super advanced level that won't affect it to not auto-add people. And then Added Agnum Scepter Tuskar. Let's make him partially an Earth Spirit. Adds a new ability called Walrus Kick. Kicks the target back 900 units, and the kick slows by 40% for 4 seconds. I don't know, guys. I think the hero has a hard enough time getting items in the first place, so maybe it'll be useful, but once again, heroes that can't farm, like heroes like Alchemist who can farm, like Acceptor is not nearly as hard to achieve, but with this, it's like, do you really think Tuskar's ever going to farm up an Ags, and is it really worth rushing it? I don't think so. For people who missed most of the patch analysis, it will be coming out on a VOD on YouTube, so the link for my YouTube is below if you are interested. Undying. Soul Rip is now considered 1 instance of damage. Rip against Templar Assassin, but probably better overall. Remove Tombstone Zombie targeting from Soul Rip. I think that means that it won't sacrifice zombies anymore. And now it makes it so that it requires 1 attack to kill rather than having 30 health for Tombstone Zombies. I'm under the impression that this means that stuff like Quill Sprays will not kill zombies. If I am correct. Good night, Mother. How do you think we should be building out now to maximize our farm and get those scepters up? I said it, I'm honestly, I'm going to have to experiment myself, guys, but I'm considering, Alchemist Battle Fury into just building 5 Ag Scepters, or 4 Ag Scepters for your team or something. What if you have, a mid-Zeus, right? Building 1 farming item and then just farming Ag Scepters. That may be a thing. I'm not saying it will be, but it could be. I do believe that this means you can't kill them with stuff like Quill Sprays. You look very stressed with this patch? No, it's just a lot of stuff going on, man. Just a lot of stuff. Ursa, interesting hero. So a hero that has problem getting kited, and I feel like they attempted to help him burst people down as well as prevent him from getting kited, but it's also on a long cooldown. So basically they replaced his old ultimate with Ursa goes into a frenzy, causing him to take 80% less damage for 4 seconds and from any source, and for his attacks to deal 2, 2.5, and 3 times the Fury Swipe's damage. So it basically increases his burst damage, right? And removes his sustained damage from his ultimate for farming. That's the problem I see here, is this helps him kill people, but his ultimate was also useful for farming. So yeah, I don't know. You can finish Roast really fast towards the end of it, once you have 20 stacks of Fury Swipes up with this kind of thing, but I don't know. I don't know if this is a buff, guys. It could be, because of the fact that you purge slows and stuff. I don't know. If you could activate this while removes any existing debuffs. If you could activate this while you were stunned, that'd be pretty sick. But other than that, I don't know. I feel like this hero is zombies also won't die to cleave. Okay, yeah, that actually significantly improves Undying. Yeah, Alch build, Midas Battle Fury, Ags. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical. I think they needed to remove the cast time on Overpower. But Venomous Gale, tick damage. Makes it so it cancels Blink right off the bat. That's kind of nice. Not much else of a big difference there. Viper Strike cooldown reduced at level 1. I don't think that'll make much of a difference. Gravekiker's Cloak. This is Visage. Visage is given all the love this patch. With the changes such as Familiars giving hero XP and stuff like that. But Gravekiker's Cloak recharge time much lower. That's 50% lower, or 33% lower, but effectively you get what I'm saying. And then Familiars no longer have a set amount of health. Instead, they can't be one-shotted by Kunkka Cleave or Gyrocopter or even just high physical damage heroes. It now requires 4 heroes attacks. I mean, that's pretty insane. And they take towers for 8 attacks. They can take 8 attacks from towers. Much easier to predict when to lower them. Much harder to snipe them. Do you think PL has a chance in this patch? I think PL is incredibly good in this patch, and I'll talk about why later on. So Familiar So familiars now require 4 attacks. That's huge. I mean, that's fucking huge. That's all I can say about it. I'm surprised it doesn't scale at all, like 3, 4, 5 or 4, 5, 6 or something. It's like because they scale here, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm surprised they don't scale, but I think it's pretty huge for that hero. You feel like Midas isn't as good as Helm of the Dom now that units you control give XP? Okay, guys, I'm going to confirm that everyone sees this, alright? Where is it at, hero? Hero kills achieved by units under your control now provide XP. It's not like you can go farm a jungle camp with a Helm of the Dominated creep and get XP from it. Just keep that in mind, guys. Like somebody mentioned that earlier. So Fatal Bond, or so for Warlock, Fatal Bond's casting range increased, cast time reduced significantly, and the regen on the Golem, I didn't even know it had regen that much. Wow, that's pretty insane, honestly. That's basically an Alchemist ult regen, the level 2 and 3. I think Warlock was always pretty good. He's just never seen, so maybe we'll see more Warlock. So yeah, people are asking about Slark with Silver Edge and stuff like that. I will be talking about every hero as it pertains to the item, especially the heroes I'm familiar with. The Swarm duration rescaled from this to 16. That's nice. It also makes them do a little bit less damage, but they attack much faster now. Which they reduce armor every time they attack. So, I mean, it makes it so that the duration's slightly lower, but, like, they attack much faster, reducing your armor faster, which, I mean, that's better. It also makes it now so, like, you never see this Geminate where it's, like, the first attack takes really long to land and the second attack comes out, like, 10 seconds later, so that's kind of nice. Aghanim Scepter Weaver, this hero doesn't farm very fast in general, and he needs a lot of damage items in the first place. I am going to say right now, I'll read it. It says it reduces the cooldown of time-lapse to 20 seconds and allows time-lapse to be targeted on allied heroes. Weaver is not a viable support, and I do not believe in any circumstance would he ever find this worth buying. I may be wrong. I'm only going to make predictions. I'm just saying from my perspective on this Ag Scepter is that you will never see it unless it gets buffed again. So yeah, that's my opinion. Shackle Shot just didn't take as long to cast. That's nice for Wind Ranger. We're super excited about a new hero being Captain's Mode. Basically makes it so that her ultimate has a slightly longer cooldown. The duration is also slightly longer, slightly larger AoE, but the heroes that are like attacking the ally, it's basically making it more of a single target disable, where you can still attack the like allies, but they don't take much damage. So you're meant to like really just kill one guy. So I think that makes her more balanced. I think her ultimate was really strong. Makes it more of a stun because of the AoE increase and the duration increase, but the cooldown nerf plus this nerf makes it much more of like a single purpose ability, which is nice. Would you say that Weaver Ags is like a cheese? Not really, because you still have to be able to cast it, and it has to, all of that damage has to be taken in 4 seconds or whatever. So I don't know. I don't think Weaver is good at all. Weaver plus Storm is 2 full mana jumps. Man, are you really going to invest 4k gold on a Weaver to do that? Okay, so Arctic Burn is now dispellable, which was really annoying. That's nice for Slark. Makes it so that it's no longer pierces spell immunity, makes it like the same amount of damage, but now it's magic, like in terms of like it's no longer like based on magic resist, it's the same amount of damage, but if you were to build more magic resist, it would do less. And then Splinter buff, like it's basically making all of her stuff avoidable. And then Cold Embrace now behaves as normal regeneration. I don't know. I think the hero got nerfed pretty significantly by these kind of things, but I think she'll still be viable, especially against high physical damage. But with all the high physical damage heroes being nerfed, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Alchemist getting 4 times the gold from a bounty rune is kind of crazy, but I don't think it'll matter that much. People keep talking about it. Now, on the other hand, support Wraith King, alright? Or even carry Wraith King. Added Aghanim Scepter to upgrade. I'm pretty sure they took this from League of Legends. Somebody told me about a hero that does this for their allies. Allies who are near Wraith King within 1200 AoE when slain become Wraiths. I'm pretty sure this is any hero. So if he's in the fight, every hero on his team becomes Wraiths for 5 seconds, delaying their death. They can continue attacking, casting, etc. When the duration ends, the hero dies. So it's basically a shallow grave that doesn't have to be casted. But you'll die, and no matter what. Like, if you get killed, you'll die. Pretty insane. I actually think that that's a pretty awesome upgrade. Definitely a candidate to go with Alchemist, guys. Definitely think that's a candidate to go with Alchemist.
Thunder God's Wrath area vision reduced from 1,000 to 500. That's a nerf that's necessary for this hero, and obviously they fixed a bug. So I think that's nice. The whole point of the ultimate now is to... but yeah, so this is... Thunder God's Wrath was really good for vision, and that's kind of helpful to nerf him that. Sounds pretty good on Huskar. If you get killed, you'll die. I mean, like, the point is, like, it's not like Shallow Grave in terms that it's like Shallow Grave that you survive 5 seconds longer, but like you don't come back. Like if you with Shallow Grave, if you get out of the fight, you die. You like survive, right? But with this, you just die. So it's like gives you 5 extra seconds to man up and try to do shit. Enchanted Mango, all these new items are super exciting. Basically, it's a consumable that gives somebody instantly 150 mana. It can only have 1 at a time. Like it takes up an entire item slot, but it passively gives you 1 HP regen. So it'll probably like I don't know. Could replace like instead of going Tango and a Clarity and lane, you could go like this instead. I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Interesting though. Supports giving to carries and fights and stuff could be very interesting as well. So this is a new item, the Lotus Orb. It's a Perseverance plus a Plate Mail plus a recipe for 4K. It gives you these. I'm not going to bother reading them. And it gives you an active, most importantly. It says, targets an allied unit dispelling negative buff. So it's basically like an Oracle ulti that used to be, right? Or it's basically an Oracle ulti. And applying an Echo Shell buff for 6 seconds. Okay? So while the Echo Shell is buff, it recasts all targeted spells back at its caster. So it's literally like this is insane, guys. It's only 4K for this item. This is definitely a late game support item, I think. So it basically makes it so that everything that's cast on that hero gets reflected. So it's basically like a Nyx Spike Carapace that'll still hit the hero. That'll still hit Nyx, you know. But like if Lion fingers you, you'll both get fingered. All the fingering, all right. And then this does not block the spell. It mirrors it back. Exactly what I said. Same rules as Lincoln Sphere. Very interesting. Very curious to see where that will go. I think it's going to be much more of a late game support item. Yeah. That's why I don't know if we'll see much of it, just because it's a late game support item. Glimmer Cape is the Shadow Amulet plus 550, or plus a Cloak, which is 550. So it's basically a 2,000 gold item. Sounds like it's going to be a support item. I don't know why a carrier in the world would ever buy this. Maybe like a... I definitely think it's a support item. And it gives you an active, which it can be disassembled, so you never know. Maybe a carrier would buy it. Targets an allied unit and makes it turn invisible after a fade time. You'll gain invisibility for 5 seconds, so it's basically like a miniature Shadow Blade for your team. And then the invisible for someone on your team, and the invisible unit is allowed to move during the 5 seconds. So it's like a Shadow Blade. But attacking or casting a spell will cause it's like a Mirana ulti where you'll go invis, but it only lasts 5 seconds. But if you use something, you'll come out of it 0.4 seconds later. It's on a 16-second cooldown, pretty long cast range. It's gonna be super annoying if you try to go on somebody and they just get made invis by an ally. I'm gonna see what this GIF is from Trial Snick here. Oh, that's so cool, dude. Okay, the shield. So basically, it reflects the Venge. Like I saw it reflect a Venge swap, so it doesn't move you at all. That's pretty funny. That's awesome. So it makes it so that the item that reflects, it reflects everything about it. So like if you throw a Venge Stone at them, it'll throw a Venge Stone back at you. That's pretty hilarious. Okay, thank you for showing me that. But yeah, so this can be cast while channeling. This means like if you're a Witch Doctor, you can cast it on yourself, stuff like that. We'll see it. It's probably a luxury support item as well. Void Glimmer Capes, Witch Doctor before Chrono. Witch Doctor is invincible. But would you really as a carry, though? You have to think about it. What kind of carry wants to spend 2,000 gold to help a support? Like, 30 attack speed for 2,000 gold is like... It's like a Midas that doesn't help you, right? So the guys have to think about it that way. That's my opinion, right? I don't think carries will buy that item. I may be wrong, but that's my opinion. New item form from Arcane Boots, Mechanism, and Recipe. I talked about this earlier with Darkseer. I think this is a huge buff for heroes like Darkseer. He's the first one that comes to mind. You guys will probably mention it with other heroes. But it's basically making it so that Arcane Boots, Mechanism, plus a Recipe, that's pretty expensive, can all be combined into one slot. Arcane Boots also got made cheaper, but they can all be combined into one slot, and there's a passive that provides 2 armor and 4 health. It's all these things. Like you get the movement speed from the boots, you get the mana from that, and you get the stats from the mech. And the recipe basically makes it 1 slot. And it gives you a passive that provides 2 armor, just like a Ring of Bassi, Ring of Aquila, and 4 health regeneration. And when a target's health is lower than 20%, it provides 15 armor and 15 health regen. That's insane. All right, like 15 armor. This item's 5,300. It's expensive, but on a hero like Darkseer, who usually buys Arcane Boots mech anyways, you're basically spending 1,600 gold to do these. And then it also has an active which gives you the mech and mana boots. So it doesn't say how much this costs. Does this not have a mana cost? That's my question here. It doesn't say. Does anybody know? Enigma. Oh, Enigma. And Chin. Oh my god, guys. Enigma. Chin. This is not a Huskar item. Necrophos. Necrophos as well. But so it has an active that removes negative debuffs from the caster upon cast. 45-second cooldown. Does anybody know if it could be a Necrophos item as well? Yeah, you're basically paying $16.50 to free up a slot. It doesn't have a mana cost. Oh my god. Wow. That's actually huge. Honestly, not only for that, but for the mana cost. Like mech costs a shit ton, right? So you're paying $16.50 to reduce the mana cost of mech, give more mana from Arcane Boots, and this ridiculous aura. Okay, that's pretty insane. This item we're going to see a lot of. And heroes like Darkseer are actually buffed significantly because of this. Chen and Enigma as well. I don't think Viper as much because the hero doesn't need mana boots. Pugna, yes. Actually, you're right, Pugna. Omni Knight, maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know about Huskar. I'm telling you, maybe. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take it back. Maybe Brown Boots, Armlet, Guardian Greaves for Huskar. But Huskar doesn't need mana boots. That's like the point. Is I don't see this item being good on heroes that don't need mana boots. Right? So like let's look at the heroes. Wisp. Bristleback actually. People were building mech on Bristleback. What if you had this on Bristleback? Arcane Boots wouldn't be horrible. If you went like Brown Boots mech into Arcane Boots. Treant Protector maybe? Phoenix even? A hero that builds mech possibly? Like here Coddle? He is now like the freaking mana giving Jesus. How about Nature's Prophet who used to build mech? I mean, I don't know, man. Death Prophet? Who I still think is going to be garbage, but Pugna, Necrophos? I mean, I think there's all kinds of possibility. But you say it's good on Huskar when he gets 6-slotted. He still doesn't need mana boots, so I don't know. I think it's like a waste of a slot on him. And it seems like it's much more effective earlier on, especially with the HP regen aura. Like that kind of thing falls off. But like, you give somebody 15 health regen when they're low. Maybe because like when he's low, he gets health regen, but he has plenty from his inner vitality and just lifesteal and shit in general. So this Moon Shard is sick. All right, this is what I love what they did. So everyone was debating about Undying. Yeah, I could see that. But okay, so what they did this patch with stuff like Alchemist Ags is they gave in like TP boots and this kind of shit with the mana boots mech. They made there be like so many combinations of things that give you effectively an extra slot. And everyone was talking about getting an extra item slot. So this item is 2 Hyperstones in a recipe. It gives you basically 20 bonus attack speed for the recipe. That's basically all it gives. And then a passive that grants 250 bonus night vision, which is really nice against Night Stalker Ultimate because you only have 675, so that's basically like 40% increase, which is really nice. And then you can use it to permanently gain 60 attack speed. So you can basically pay 4,000 gold, which is twice the gold of a Hyperstone, basically, to get a little more than what a Hyperstone gives, and it's permanent. Which is really nice. It's basically an effective item slot. This is like the new 7th item, in my opinion. I think it'll only be kept as its original item for against Night Stalker. That's my opinion, though. Alright. Huge buff to Tiny. Huge buff to Void. Huge buff to Anti-Mage, just because he goes 6-slotted so quickly. A lot of these 6-slotted items are helping Anti-Mage a shit ton. I don't even know who else. Alchemist, because he can buy it and just get rid of it. Sven.
Huskar even. I mean, I know Huskar has a lot of attack speed, but this buffs a lot of heroes, man. No, you can't. Sorry. Attack speed can be consumed. Requires does not stack. Sorry, I knew it doesn't. I just couldn't provide it. You can only use one, so it's not like you can have every hero eventually reach max attack speed. But I'm assuming you could buy this and then buy another one and not consume it. So technically, you could have 180 attack speed from a slot, which would be pretty cool. But I mean, PL's nice. Like, yeah, it would definitely work on PL. I mean, like, it works on, honestly. Like, this is the new 7th item. It has to be. What hero doesn't want free 60 attack speed, right? Is it a good early item? No. There's no way is this a good early item. Attack speed only scales with damage, and it's one of the worst things to buy. It provides no defensive abilities, and it costs 4,000. So this is definitely like ultra late game. You are filled. Maybe on certain heroes, maybe will this be picked up earlier on, but I can't think of one, like not even Void, not even like Drow, stuff that just wants to attack fast. I'm pretty sure this will be 6 slotted, pick it up to consume it. So yeah, people have been waiting for this one because they know it's my dream item. I'll talk very heavily about this right now. So we have the Silver Edge. This is an upgrade of Shadowblade. So basically the problem with Shadowblade before is that it's a great item and all, but it cost 2,800 and it took up a slot. So it wasn't a very good usage of your slot usually later on. What it allows you to do is it combines Shadowblade with Sange, and then you pay for a small amount for a recipe, and you get basically the combined bonus of both things. So you get the 30 attack speed from the Shadowblade, you get the bonus damage from the Sange and the Shadowblade combined, and you get the strength, and you get the lesser main. It makes the Invis deal about 50 more damage. It used to usually 175 with the Shadowblade. And it also applies Break, which means like disabling PA evasion. Alright? Like, fuck MKB, right? So it reduces the target's damage output, all damage types, by 40%. Alright? So I'm guessing the duration of the Shadow Walk is still 14. It says 24-second cooldown. It does not say the duration. Or, yeah, it doesn't say the duration, but of Shadowblade it's 14, so I'm assuming it's still 14. It's a 24-second cooldown. Attacking to end invisibility cannot miss. And debuff does not pierce spell immunity. Oh, scroll down. Sorry, yeah, you're right. I forgot that I have I'm gonna... no, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'll just scroll down. I apologize, guys. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, so basically this... What I'm going to talk about here with Slark is this. Slark's problem with building Shadowblade early was that he had no health. So building Shadowblade early now, I would say my new build with this item out will be Treads, Aquila, Drums, which Drums got buffed, Treads, Aquila, Drums, into Shadowblade Silver Edge. I'm not saying 100%, I have to try it out, but that's my guess. And the reasoning behind it is I want the Drums because it still doesn't give any mana pool. And that's a main problem with the Shadowblade Rush is that you have a hard time with the mana. But now you don't really need to build Sange and Yasha because you have the main from the Shadowblade slot. And so you could either go straight Scotty for the slow, or you could just go into like Basher or like BKB or like I honestly think Scotty's probably going to be the next item, but I think this is huge for many heroes. But like in terms of my like what is the new Slark build? I already said it. Yeah, I mean this is insane. Like the whole point about this is the fact that like it counters passives. Like I'm sure that means Faceless Void backtrack, right? Like, it breaks all disables passive abilities, so like stuff like Backtrack. I mean, this is so good. It basically allows Slark to not have to build MKB, to not have to... I mean, okay, here's what I'm going to say to you guys right now. If anybody, after seeing this, buys a Blink Dagger on Slark, you have to kill yourself, alright? Like, go kill yourself, alright? I already said Shadowblade was better. This solves everything. Everything for Slark. Now when he comes out of this item, he now takes less damage from you, alright? Like, come on. Okay? You are insane
if you buy a blink now. And not only that, it also reduces the cooldown by 4. So, break doesn't work on backtrack. So, yeah. I already said it, people are now reacting, but seriously, this is insane. This is a huge buff to Slark. Huge, okay? I'll commit Sudoku ASAP. You're welcome. Void backtracks it. Okay, so Solo Crest. We're gonna move on, but I think this is a huge item. I think it'll help out a lot of heroes that already built like it just makes Shadowblade more of a late game item. You basically have that Shadowblade slot, and if you instead of replacing it, you can just give yourself an extra 16 strength, a maim, and something that makes people do less damage. Does that mean it can break Butterfly's passive too, or only abilities? Butterfly break is not. We're gonna read this again, guys. Sorry for anybody who's either recently showing up or it's just something that you kind of forgot about. Just because it matters on a lot of these items. Hex. Okay, so where does it say the break mechanic here? Sorry, guys. Oh, reworked item silencing. So item silencing is called mute, and passive disabling is called break. So basically, like when we say something causes break, that means it disables passive abilities. So this break will not cancel Butterfly or any other items, but it will break passives like PA. So that's why I think it's like a buff to Butterfly, but a nerf to heroes like PA. So let's go ahead and get back down. Just to make sure everyone understands that mutes are for items and breaks are for abilities. So if it's a break, it does not mute items like Butterfly. So it's a new item, Solar Crest. Requires a medallion and a talisman. Basically gives you 10 armor, 30% evasion. So it's basically a super OP medallion. Alright? Super OP medallion. And what it does is when you get these bonuses, and when you target somebody, you give the bonuses to them. So you can basically give your carry evasion when targeting and when you target an enemy, and it removes 10 armor, which is huge, and then applies a 30% miss for 7 seconds. I mean, it's basically an upgraded talisman, or it's upgraded medallion. I think this item will be insane in certain scenarios. I'm not really sure yet what they are. I think that it'll be a nice luxury late game item. It makes MKB already a better item. Yeah, PA's fucked, man. I'm sorry. Nothing cancels Butterfly evasion. Mute only forbids item usage. I'm pretty sure that Doom with an Axe will disable Butterfly evasion. Maybe I am wrong. But this is a buff to heroes. This is a buff to late game supports, especially like Venge that already builds a medallion. Solar Crest on Clinks. I don't think that this is a buff to carries, guys. I don't think that... You guys gotta look at this, alright? Other than the 7 active armor that you can reduce, or 10 active armor to the hero, maybe on like Lycan, I just don't see... This doesn't help you farm at all. Alright? It's still a 7-second cooldown. I just don't think heroes like Clinks will use it. I just don't think it's good on carries. I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong, but for now I don't think it's a carry item. Okay. So the next one people keep talking about, Octarine Core. Basically the build above of Bloodstone plus a Mystic Staff. It gives you the Mystic Staff Intelligence, all the HP and mana from the Soul Booster. It basically gives you all that these give you. That's all it does. But when you combine the two, it gives you a passive, which cooldown reduces everything by 25%. Which is pretty insane. Let me look at my camera here. Okay, let's do this. Boom. So, it basically gives you cooldown reductions by 25%, which is pretty insane, alright? And then Spell Lifesteal restores health for a percentage of any damage dealt from spells. So 25% from heroes and 5% from creeps. I already said that the first hero that comes to mind is Leshrac. Leshrac is insane with this item. I think Puck might be decent. I think Zeus would be insane. 25% cooldown reduction on Zeus's abilities. Maybe even like a Core Ogre. Chikiro, maybe. Necrolite would be insane. Pugna, giving him lifesteal on all of his crap. I don't know if it works on the orbs like OD, but I don't even know if it'd be good on OD. But maybe. I don't know about Storm Spirit because Storm Spirit's nice. Okay, Timbersaw would be insane. Storm Spirit's nice for the spell lifesteal, but his main ability being his ball lightning doesn't get any cooldown reduction. Does it work on techies? I'm sure it does. Lina, maybe. I don't know. Probably. I feel like it has to be mobile heroes or tanks. Like I don't feel like Lina's gonna build this item, and I may be wrong. And the reason why I say this is because like the whole item, like this whole spell steal thing, like Lena's supposed to be in the back anyways. Usually if you're on top of Lena, you're disabling her and killing her, alright? Maybe she'll get it, maybe. But even then, it's like 250 damage from her ultimate. Like, that's 250 health from her ultimate, right? Which is still okay, but like, I'd rather have it on a hero like Leshrac that's already frontlining, just throwing out spells in the front lines, as well as something like Necro, who's also frontline tanking and uses spells. That's where I think it's better. And Zeus, even, because he's kind of a tank that sits in the back, so if you get down low at all. Maybe Invoker. Timber is a tank as well, so I could definitely see it on Timber. I don't think it'll be on heroes like Lina, but maybe I'm wrong. I know it reduces the cooldown, but like Lina doesn't struggle with cooldowns. Bristleback, maybe. I don't think it's a Storm Spirit item. I just don't think, like, I think that if you're paying this much for an item, 6,000 gold, then you really want to make use of all of its abilities, and this doesn't really help Storm Spirit at all. I know it, like, you can say, like, the Vortex and the Remnant, but maybe Puck. I do not think Meepo. I don't think Meepo. 100% no. Meepo doesn't hit any harder because of this item. Maybe Death Prophet. Enigma got the best out of, though, through Med Golem change. Oh, yeah, he did. Like, a lot of people benefited from it, but definitely Enigma by the most part. But yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes, but I'm telling you, in my opinion, I think it'll be like Leshrac and Necro are the main heroes that use that kind of item. Like tanky frontliners that, maybe even Bristleback just for the quills, honestly. I know that sounds stupid, maybe, but I don't think Razor will get it. Razor doesn't really need that big of a mana pool, and he doesn't do all that much damage with spells, so... Queen of Pain maybe as well, honestly, because of her nuke damage as well. This turns Zeus ulti into a cheese. Okay, let's actually do the math let's do the math for me and you guys. I think Acceptor's 640, so that's 3,200 damage. So it turns his ultimate, if you do 3,200 damage minus spell resistance, which is 2,400, it turns his ultimate into about a 600 damage heal. Or 600 heal. AIDS, Ebola, or Octarine Core. I think Octarine... Okay, you guys have to remember, like, this is still a 6,000 gold item, alright? Like, it's insane, but it's 6,000 gold, alright? So, does Octarine Core affect... reduces all cooldowns by 25%, so I'm pretty sure that affects items, man. So maybe even heroes like Tidehunter, just to get reduction on Refresh Orb. I don't know, man. Skywrath Mage. Oh, man, Skywrath Mage. Okay. Skywrath Mage, I could see it. I could see it on Skywrath Mage. What do you think about it on Gyro? Nah, not on Gyro. This is only going to be an end hero item. Other, like, inter-strength heroes. I mean, let's look at Agi heroes. Yeah, there's no way in hell any Agi heroes build this. Like, there's no way. I refuse to believe it. And you guys can make me eat my words later. Like, Shadow Fiend, nah. Like, you have to think about it. Does Shadow Fiend really need a mana pool? Not really. He just built Scotty. Does he really need the int? Nah. Like, I'm telling you. That's my opinion, though. So for Lesh, you think Bloodstone into Octarine? Yeah. Either Bloodstone into Octarine or Bloodstone into BKB Octarine. One of those two. Vino? I don't know, man. Maybe? Okay, you know what? Time out. I'll give you guys props. Vino is the only one I can think of. Luna, no way in fuck. Vino, okay. Okay. I admit Vino. Vino. Right? Vino, you got it. You're fine. Vino, you're fine. You're fine. You're right. You got it. Enchant could probably benefit from it as well. Except for the fact that most of her damage late game, or any of her effectiveness late game, comes from her impetus, and that doesn't have a cooldown. Enigma, thank you, Enigma. Oh, I mean, now that I think about it, Enigma's going to be ridiculous. The cooldown reduction will be huge for Black Hole. This hero could certainly use all these items. Like, the spell lifesteal is not that great on him, but all the changes to all the other items I think are pretty huge on him, like the Mana Boots mech thing. Maybe Invoker, but I don't know about Invoker. We'll see. I really have to see how effective the item is, because you can say 25% of spells, but then you really have to see how much it comes out to, you know? Invoker's best with it, we'll see. But yeah, I like this. Observers and sentries now only take one slot. That's really nice. I got another message. Nature's Prophet, maybe. Somebody mentioned Nature's Prophet with the item. What happened here? Shit. Nature's Prophet with the item would definitely be legit. I can see it. So this is just nice for supports. Takes up one less slot. You can toggle between the two. That's really nice. This quality of life thing, I really like that. They're doing a lot of things that maximize slots, which I really like here. Upgraded Boots of Travel. My dream. Boots of Travel can now be upgraded by purchasing the recipe again. Allows you to target and teleport to allied heroes. That's insane. Alright? That's awesome. Another late game thing that basically expands your hero, or expands your item slots. Ember with Sleight of Fist spam. You can just buy, like, Sleight of Fist is considered physical damage, so you would just be getting life, like, you could just buy lifesteal in general. I'm gonna say Vino. Like, is it Venomancer? I think Venomancer is right, but I guess Venomancer is actually his name, but I've called him Vino forever, so. How about it on Beastmaster? Maybe. But strength increased slightly, damage reduced slightly, but now you get the bonus damage from Bash. I always kind of thought that was weird, that they didn't give you bonus damage, but now the cooldown slightly increased. So I think overall this item got slightly nerfed, which I'm okay with. I don't think it's a big deal. I do think it's a slight nerf though. I think that's a pretty significant damage. I mean, the damage got knocked down pretty significantly, but the bash still creates damage. So if you're bashing 1 out of 4 hits, it technically makes up for it, because, you know, it literally comes out to even, because 1 out of 4 hits would be about 15. Makes it slightly inconsistent damage, and since it's on a cooldown, it's still technically slightly less. But I still think the nerf is very slight. How about it on Shotgun Morphling? Probably not. How about Octarine on Naga? What about that Naga makes you want that? I don't think her abilities need cooldown reduction. I think she'd much rather have any other item. You still have to remember you only have 6 slots, right? It says Octarine Core affects all cooldowns, so I'm assuming, as well as other people telling me, that it affects item cooldowns. But so Energy Booster slightly reduced. We all talked about how we thought Arcane Boots should be buffed, which this effectively does. It also buffs Bloodstone and Octarine Core, even though Octarine Core just got in, so I don't know if it's really considered a buff. Core would be good on Medusa. I don't think so. I think it doesn't give her any damage. Replenish radius is nice, and it also no longer costs mana. So I mean, Arcane Boots are back, huge deal, especially for heroes that like Darkseer again, that have mana problems. I'm telling you right now, Darkseer is going to be a big new thing. That hero, all the item changes and the hero itself got huge buffs. I think I said Octarine on Co-op could be good. Death Prophet would be okay. I think it'd be good on Death Prophet. I just think Death Prophet's going to be bad still. That's my point. So recipe increased slightly for Bloodstone. So basically Bloodstone's the same price now. Armament of Mordigian gives the attack speed full bonus when you don't have it on. That's kind of nice. It's a slight buff. In general, you usually have it on, but I guess it's basically 10 attack speed bonus when you don't have it on. And the strength bonus is slightly better, or the strength gain is slightly quicker, which makes it easier to toggle and not quite die. It could make the difference every now and then. Would Octarine Core ever be viable on Spectre? Probably not. But okay, yeah, so this is a small change, but I think that this item is so cheap that when they keep buffing it, man, I'm telling you, heroes like Huskar that build it all the time, I think that's a big difference. I think that this item is going to slowly start getting picked again. Centaur Ags upgrade, best initiation skill in game. I actually think it's the best counter initiation skill now. Honestly, that's good. That's my answer to that. They're obviously going to change a lot, dude. They're going to change a lot. When I say that, somebody said like in before 6.84A, 6.84B, and 6.84C within a month. Yeah, of course they're going to change a lot soon. There's so much change going on here. So many new items. They're going to have to like fix it out, fix it up. Would you rather get a Soul Ring on Darkseer? I actually think going Mana Boots mech would probably work, or you could go Soul Ring Mana Boots mech. But I think that either way, that building Mana Boots mech into that item for Darkseer is going to be really good. Octarine on Tinker. The hero has no cooldowns, dude. No. Okay. So here's the thing for Quelling Blade, and we're going to talk about this in detail, or like as much detail as needed, but I think it's a big deal. So first off, the first thing we'll point out is no longer deals bonus damage to Roshan. So if you guys had asked me 2 months ago when I said I thought it didn't work on Roshan, I would have been right now. So that's a pretty big deal for heroes like Troll Warlord and Jug. That already got nerfed, that can no longer do Roshan faster because of a quelling. That's a pretty big deal. And then changed from full damage bonus to base damage bonus. What that means is that when you have damage from stats, which is white damage, and you have damage from items, which is green. So I understand most people know this, but I'm just making sure you understand. So what this means is that they made it so that it no longer does 32-12, it now does 40 plus 15, but it only works on the white damage. It no longer works on the green damage. So if you build Phase Boots, for instance, that 24 damage from Phase will no longer get the bonus damage. How do you fight into Octarine Tinker? With 2 or 3 marches? Because he lifesteals all of his health back? Is that your point? No, like that doesn't make any... Like, he's not going to lifesteal fast enough to survive if he gets bursted, right? Will the damage make up for the lack of Troll's batch damage? Yeah, so it doesn't change much for the laning stage, but it also like nerfs heroes like Anti-Mage, who build Battle Fury and Vlads and stuff. Core on Pudge, please notice me. Maybe Pudge. I don't think Pudge will ever be able to afford it. But yeah, we have white damage and green damage. Somebody's calling me racist. But what I want to talk about here is, okay, so you can also kill wards with quelling instead of like dealing half their damage, and it also increased the range. That's very minor, but it's nice for in general. But the thing that's crazy here that you guys have to realize is think about it, alright? How big of a buff is this to illusion heroes? Alright? Illusion heroes. Illusion heroes that only build stats. Alright? Phantom Lancer. Naga. Maybe even Terrorblade. Now do 40% damage. All you build is stats on those heroes. I'll play PL, and I'll have like 240 white damage and 20 green damage, alright? This just makes PL farm that much, like 8% faster, alright? That's all this does. You just need to think about it. Thank you about me reading all your questions and having that moment of retardedness. But yeah, so this is insane for illusion heroes, alright? Insane. Heroes that build base damage only. Spectre. Terrorblade might still suck. Chaos Knight, kind of, but he builds armlet and shit, so... but yeah, seriously though. I think this will be a huge buff to illusion heroes. Next one is Battle Fury. Now requires and provides the bonuses of Quelling Blade. So I'm under the impression that it now has 5 components. It has 4: the Perseverance, the Claymore, the Broadsword, and the Quelling. So basically, you can have a Quelling Blade integrated into it. That's another way of saving a slot. Quell bonus is now 60% and 25% for ranged heroes. That makes no fucking sense, because why would you ever buy a Battle Fury on a ranged hero? But I respect that they upgraded that anyway. So they basically made the attack damage slightly less, so I mean nerfed the fighting potential of it, which it never really had fighting potential. But they made it so that you now get a ridiculous Quelling Blade bonus, because after all, I guess you are building green damage that doesn't get benefited from this at all. And so it's basically a farming item that now gives you Quelling Blade. Huge for Anti-Mage. It really is huge for Anti-Mage, because even though your Battle Fury is like, you're not going to have a Quelling Blade in your final 6 slots, it now opens up a slot for the mid-game. just got in. I'll confirm best carry. I don't think so. But cleave radius is also larger, so I think Battle Fury is going to be picked up more often. I'm going to have to experiment it with myself. BKB can be sold. You still can't replenish the time. That's nice and all, but most of the time people value having the BKB anyway. Cooldown on Blade Mail reduced. Another buff to the item. Haven't been seeing it much, so that makes sense. I think the item's already pretty good, so we'll probably be seeing even more of it. Cost reduced from 450 to 420. 420 Blaze It for the Blades of Attack. It's a small buff to Armlet, small buff to Chrysalis, and it's a buff in all to Phase Boots, but the phase duration got slightly lowered. So the intention here is that they wanted to buff other items that use Blades of Attack, but Phase Boots they wanted to remain the same. Battle Fury on Lifestealer, maybe. Do you think heroes that build Bloodstone will actually have a higher incentive to buy Core plus Bloodstone as they have insane synergy? Most likely. Heroes like Leshrac, for sure. Battle Fury on Lifestealer? I don't know about Battle Fury on Lifestealer. I really don't. I don't know yet. I think it's much... Okay, my Battle Fury Void build's infinitely better now. That's all I can say about that. But okay. So, now we got Boots of Travel, Teleport, cooldown reduced again. Like, just 2 patches ago it was just 60. Now it's 45. Buckler, the radius got increased. Not really a big deal. Flutter, I think this is a buff. It goes from 8 to 6, but the movement speed's more. So usually it's like a burst of movement speed to get away. So I think the higher move speed and a lower duration is better. Keep buffing Clarity every damn patch. You can cast on allies from farther away, and it basically takes longer, but it does more regen. Are Treads core on Jug now? Absolutely. I think Jug's going to have fallen off pretty hard, though. Cloak, magic resistance from 15 to 20. Small buff for the cheap item. It builds into other stuff eventually that doesn't really buff it at all. Damage block increase for Vanguard. Crimson Guard as well. Increase the amount that Crimson Guard blocks by. All these are small buffs, but they add that. I mean, they may make the difference. The item's really not picked. It was picked up originally, and then it stopped getting picked up. So... Do you feel the people are basically asking about the farming speeds of carries based on the fact that creeps got nerfed. I think that I don't think it's going to change much. Of course, it's 6% less, but I really don't think it's going to change much. That's my opinion. We'll see. I know it's 6% left, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. We'll have to see though. Desolator, they basically made it cheaper, but does less damage. But I mean, the main focus of the item was the fact that it gives 7 armor reduction. So heroes like TA will reach their Deso 600 gold faster. I think that's a pretty big deal. It's not really a late game item anyways, so reducing the cost and the effectiveness isn't that bad for the item. It's much more of like a mid game item. So I think that's a pretty big deal. I think the item never got picked up. So even though they nerfed the damage on it slightly, buffing its cost reduction that much is a pretty big deal. So yeah, I think that's a big buff overall, and it looks like people are agreeing with me. As you well know, Diffusal Blade never worked on range illusions, but now it works for half the value. That's nice. Maybe heroes like Mirana or something, if they build Manta plus Manta plus Diffusal Blade, maybe they'll make them better. I don't really know many ranged heroes that would build it. Maybe Drow? Other than that, what other hero would build Manta and Diffusal? I don't really see any others. Maybe Luna? We'll see after that comes into effect at all. Divine Rapier, the first buff I've ever seen on a Rapier. Do you think Rapier is core now on Phantom Lancer? Absolutely, because it buffs all of his illusions. But yeah, I'm kidding. But yeah, so they made Rapier do 30 more damage. I don't think that'll make much of a difference. But Terrorblade Diffusal, maybe. Maybe. So that is a good point, maybe. I don't think that'll make much of a difference, but it's clowny nonetheless. Luna bounce. I don't think it'll work on bounces because the Luna. I guess her glaive lifesteal works. It's only lifesteal that works though. I said Weaver, but I was thinking Weaver, but I don't think so. I don't think that hero is gonna build Manta Diffusal.
But we could see, maybe. But movement speed slow increased. That's just nice. For dust. Drum of Endurance, the attack speed bonus when you use it is now 20, so the 6 charges are much more valuable. I think that's even more important on a hero like Slark that suffers for attack speed. It's a pretty big buff to the item. Butterfly getting buffed left and right, along with, I guess, Ethereal Blade, but I mainly think of Butterfly, slight cost reduction. Thank God for this. Another nerf to Eul Scepter makes it so that it's not just a cheap, cost-effective thing that gives you an infinite mana pool. It now basically costs more mana to use it than the actual int it gives. It still gives a lot of mana regen, but it costs a lot to use it, which I really like. It makes it not as viable to go like Tranquil Boots Euls on every support. Missed me talk about Silver Edge. If you missed anything, this VOD will be up. I did talk about it with regards to Slark. Cold attack slow duration for ranged heroes from 3 to 2.5. I'm surprised that's all they nerfed about it, but that's okay with me. It doesn't nerf Slark at all. So yeah, ranged heroes like Sniper and stuff, they just hate them even more now. So just makes it so the slow lasts longer, or doesn't last quite as long. So same thing for melee heroes. Vision is less for Courier, but the speed boost is more. I mean, I don't know how much that will change. I don't think it's a big deal. People were scouting a lot of like Roche Pit and shit with Courier, so maybe that's what they're aiming for here. Health regeneration for Force Staff, nice to see. Got buffed from 3 to 4. Are those dolls on my bookshelf? Those are stuffed animals, and they're not mine. But yeah, health regeneration from 3 to 4. That's nice and all. May make a difference. I mean, the item's already like picked up for a specific region, and that's not health regen. Ghost Scepter got reduced in cost, but the attribute bonus. So basically, they made it less about attribute bonus and more about the fact that you get Ethereal, and the fact that when you're in Ethereal now, you can also TP out. So rip Juggernaut. Yeah, rip Jug. I told you guys Slark was not going to get touched, alright? Glove of Haste went from 15 to 20. That's honestly really nice for the Midas build-up. I don't think you'll ever buy that before the stat item on Treads, but it's really nice for that. It's also nice for Armlet build-up. I don't think that make that big of a difference, but never mind about that. I don't know about that. Like making a big difference, but it is something, right? So the build-up of an item like that helps stuff like Midas. It makes it more enticing to go for the Glove of Haste before just rushing the recipe. Regeneration aura radius increased from 750 to 9. Oh, I guess it also buffs Maelstrom buildup slightly as well. Increased from 750 to 900. That's everything across from Mech, Buckler, all that stuff got that buff. Crimson Guard. Do you think Lone Druid and heroes like Gyro and Luna are strong picks? Absolutely. I think the buff to Gyro's Rocket Barrage cooldown was huge. Or Rocket Barrage cast point. So basically healing duration for salves is shorter, but it's the same amount of heal. You can basically use all consumables from 250 range on your allies instead of 100. Storm was nerfed, yes, his ball lightning vision and his movement speed. And then decreased cost of Reaver, which is an innate buff to Heart of Tarrasque as well as Satanic. And then the recipe, I guess, never mind, I'm an idiot. So basically a buff to Satanic. And Heart of Tarrasque basically got buffed though because it increases a lot more of your health, but the problem is it takes longer to get there in terms of like you have to not be attacked for 5 to 7 seconds, like 5 for melee and 7 for range instead of 4 and 6. Still a pretty big buff on the percentage health, so I don't know if that's what the item needed though. I don't know if that's like in terms of like what actually solves the problem. I don't think people were having problem waiting too long to regen, but maybe I'm wrong. Do you think Phoenix Octarine is legit? Maybe. I don't think that hero really has mana problems because she just gets all of her mana back when she ults. Slight buff on Lincoln Sphere. They keep doing this. It was like 20 like 3 patches ago, so I guess if they keep doing it, eventually maybe it'll be a core item. And we got Magic Stick is now just better. I mean, let's do the math. This is 500, and this is 200, 300, 460. So it now costs 40 gold less, and it costs, and it gives you 1 extra attribute. So, I mean, they buffed Magic Wand last patch, so now it's just really good, honestly. I think that Magic Wand, my build on Slark's looking even better. So then we got Mask of Madness. Everyone expected it. I honestly thought this was the part that was going to get nerfed. I thought they might just nerf the they might make it cost more, but basically makes it so you don't move nearly as fast when you're in it. So,
I think the biggest problem with that is severely hindering farm speed of Mask of Madness. So I usually activated my Mask of Madness between camps to get there faster, but I'll probably make it so I primarily use it to while I'm in the camp. So does that mean Lycan still go double heart plus drum? Oh, you can still go double heart plus drums on Phantom Lancer? Probably not, man. I don't recommend that. Restore active and mechanism aura. Like I said, it's all increased to 900. I don't know why they nerfed Mjolnir, but they made it so that you basically, like, it used to be like if a Sand King was storming on top of you, you could just activate Mjolnir and it'd jump to him. But now that no longer happens, and the cast range got increased, but overall that's definitely a nerf. For anybody who's ever bought a Necro book, if you ever bought like level 1 Necro, the minions were completely potato. So they basically made it so level 3 book is the exact same, but level 1 and 2 are not pussies. So instead of hitting for 25, they hit for 45. And instead of 40, they hit for 60, which is a huge difference. And then also the 200 health bonus, that's 50% health, 50% more health. That's just a big deal. I mean, they made it so level 1 and 2 book are not absolute shit. Retards who start with 3 branches and wand recipe buffed. Exactly. Will Slark have enough attack speed without a Yasha? I'm actually going to be talking about a Slark a lot today because I want to talk to you guys about any questions you have because I'm going to be making the guide. I was hesitant to make the guide until I saw the next patch, so I'm glad it came out and when it did. Observer wards now come in single increments. That's nice. I don't quite understand cost and restock time reduced by half and stock doubled. I'm guessing that means that, like, I'm guessing that means it just makes up for the fact that they only come in pairs of 1, or the sets of 1. And now it provides a 50 XP bonus when it's destroyed. That's nice and all for supports. Attacking a ward can no longer miss. Thank God. Rip all the supports that sat there attacking it 5 times, missing all the times in a row, and then the enemy carry came over and killed them because they could. I will be playing Slark after this game, but I'd really like to wait till the next patch, but I guess not because I can't. Insight Aura on Pipe also gives 10% magic resist to all of your allies. That's pretty awesome. Makes the item a lot better. Also increase the radius just like every other freaking item. And then I think they're just trying to make this an applicable item. So power treads, woo! Slark even buff more. And Jug power treads build. Attribute bonus increase from 8 to 9. I mean, that may not seem like anything, but it's just straight up one stat of whatever you do. It also makes tread switching better. So I have to think about that now. Quarterstaff got reduced in cost, buffed to Butterfly and Orchid. Small buff, but you never know. What if you died 50 gold from an Orchid? Necrophos wasn't touched. I think he got buffed by a lot of the items that came into play here. Okay, so they increased the Radiance recipe cost, but this is insane. Alright? Insane. I have to be seeing so much Spectre and Naga next patch. Alright? What is this shit? What is this shit? Radiance Burn now causes effective enemies to have a 17% miss chance. That is insane. Lone Druid, Naga, fucking Spectre. Okay? Like, that's insane. Okay? What? Like, come on, guys. Yeah, you're paying 75 extra gold for a 17% miss rate. Kind of retarded, yeah. I don't think Terrorblade will ever buy that. Maybe. I heard that Radiance used to give you evasion in Dota 1, but it didn't, like, apply a miss chance. 17% miss chance is insane. Alright? Wow. So, moving on from that, I mean, I think Spectre's back. Everyone's like, yeah, Spectre's back, boys. Like, yeah, Spectre's, like, the item buffs are what makes Spectre good. Heart of Tarrasque plus Radiance, those are the items Spectre buys, right? If you buff the items the hero buys, the hero becomes better. So the old refresher, we all know the build-up. The new build-up is double Perseverance in a recipe, slightly higher cost, and it basically makes it so it gives 20 damage and no attack speed compared to 40 damage and 10 attack speed. So basically it makes it less viable on carries. Heroes that don't care about attack speed, it doesn't really matter, but other heroes, it does matter. More health regen, less int, like no health, no int pool, but So Rod of Atos got buffed again by 5 int. Never know when we'll be seeing that item. It's a useful item, but it's kind of weird to put it on most heroes. Buff Satanic. That's interesting because I feel like Satanic is purchased a decent amount, but Mask of Madness was purchased more, I guess. So I guess heroes with Satanic will be more likely to buy it. Attacking a ward can no longer miss, thank God. I already mentioned that because it said it again for observers. Freezing Aura, enemy attack speed improved again. This item is eventually going to make you never attack ever. Makes heroes like Phoenix even better. Refresher on Slark no longer viable. Oh, Refresher on Slark's still viable. It's just not as good. I didn't even think about that, but definitely still viable because the double ulti. But yeah, I don't know. That is a good point. So he said they made Stout Shield cost less, but it makes it do a lot less. It only blocks 20% less and blocks a little bit less. It's not much of a less of a block, but it does block 20% less, which is significant when it's just an early game item. I mean, I guess they buffed what it builds into, so that's technically a buff to Vanguard and Crimson Guard. Will Rod of Atos still be boring as fuck? Yes. Atos is kind of boring, yes. But then we got Tangos. Can now be used to eat wards, just like a Quelling Blade. I love this tooltip. And it says, because wards taste better. It basically doubles the healing amount if you use a Tango on a ward. So if a support is conveniently dewarding and they have a Tango, then they can get a lot more out of it. Yeah, you can eat the ward, man. Wards are apparently very tasty, according to Valve. Teleport scroll cooldown is increased, thus effectively buffing teleport boots of travel. And then it says that you can also no longer remove Ethereal State, which means you can Ghost Scepter TP on supports, which is very useful. But main thing I think about with this increase right here is the fact that Boots of Travel on a hero like PL are even better now. Heroes like Tinker get an innate buff as well, based on the cooldown reduction on Boots of Travel and the cooldown increase on Teleport Scrolls. And then casting Inner Shadows on an enemy already, like, it resets the time on it, which is what it was supposed to do originally, so that's good. Bale of Discord, item we hardly ever see picked up. I really like the fact that they reduced the cooldown and reduced the duration as well. It's still 80% uptime on both of them. It's a little bit less uptime now, but in the end, I think that's much better to have it on a lower cooldown because you want to apply it. Most fights only last about 15 seconds, right? So you want to be able to apply it again. Made the recipe cheaper and the mana cost cheaper. So I think we may be seeing more of this item. Honestly, heroes like Sand King, Zeus. I think we'll be seeing more of this item just because the item was already kind of seeing play, and now it's seeing a lot. Seeing a lot more play after these buffs. But he said, why reduce BOT cooldown and up the TP cooldown? I don't know. They just been doing it, and I think they want to encourage. I think they want to. I think they just want to improve the late game of Boots of Travel, and they maybe the viability of rushing them. I really don't know why they're doing it. They don't really have a reason. And this also makes it so in pro level Dota, it actually could make a difference on knowing whether or not your TP's on cooldown. And sometimes this may make the difference. You may have your TP on 5-second cooldown when a fight goes off, right? Veil and Leshrac could be very useful, yes. Literally need 5 MKBs against a Radiance hero. I don't think I would ever build an MKB for 17% miss, honestly, even though it's still really good. And here we come to the last bit of the patch. We have Lifesteal is decreased from 16 to 15, but it now grants 10% for ranged heroes from Vladimir's. That's huge, alright? Vladimir's Huskar incoming. Now requires Headdress instead of Ring of Regen. And it gives 2 stats and provides the health regen. It used to give all the other auras, but not the health regen to people. So now it gives you the health regen. It costs slightly more, obviously, but now it gives you a little bit of stats and provides regen. So I think that Vladimir's buff was given because everyone was buying Helm of the Dominator over Vlad's, and now it's useful for range carries. So if you have a range carry like Dusa or Drow, even you can buy her Vlad's, and she doesn't have to have late game lifesteal. 10% lifesteal is usually enough for carries like that to sustain, so that's really nice. Does the cloak buff completely negate the veil buff? No. The cloak, remember, builds into other things, so your casual cloak's slightly better now, but all the things it built into didn't get buffed. So just remember that. Veil Jakiro could be good. Yeah, Deso plus. Oh, I didn't even think about that. You can now buy lifesteal on ranged heroes, and buy stuff like Desolator. Uh, Ursa plus Wraith King, legitimate combo besides Roche. Ursa gets an extra 5 seconds to live. Maybe. I think you'd be legit with Huskar. We'll have to be seeing what pro. Like, I mean, I know I'm supposed to be quote unquote pro, but we'll have to be seeing what a lot of pros do with their ranged heroes on this. I'm obviously gonna have to try it out for myself. This patch is gonna create a shitstorm, like everyone's saying. Pretty insane stuff. I'm gonna leave the chat open here to questions. I'm just gonna read questions for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll queue. You said Huskar with the new mech and Vlad's. It's one of those where I think Huskar still has to rush an armlet, but maybe going into the new mech afterwards might be the right call. But the thing is, like I said, he doesn't need mana, so... I just realized, so when you disable passives with Break, the only thing that breaks now is Huskar, or is... other than like Doom that already did break, is the blade. Why am I blanking on what it's called? Silver Edge. So, wow. Yeah, that might make Huskar shit. I mean, people mentioned it earlier. It says that it does not pierce spell immunity, so honestly buying a... I mean, it's still a 5,000 gold item, so that's, like, kind of comforting. But to disable Huskar's passive, like, cripples the hero. Like, it's one thing to disable, like, PA evasion, who, like helps her to have evasion, but, like, his is a defensive and offensive passive. That might fuck Huskar in the butt. Who do you think is the best hero in this patch? I think Lone Druid honestly is the biggest difference. Clinks is okay. I don't know if it helped him enough though. I think Wraith King's ridiculous with Axe Scepter now. Do you think Alk is going to be a top support now? I think Alk definitely will see play. I'm not really sure where though. The Axe Scepter change is pretty insane. Aren't you tired after so many talking? Kind of. Silver Edge is so fucking good though. Holy crap. What happens if Spirit Breaker charges someone with Lotus Guard on? That's interesting. I have no idea. Silver Edge definitely bumped the shit out of Slark. And I'm kind of ripping Ronies and my pepperonis about Slark here, or about Huskar here. Thoughts on Bat with Glimmer Cape? Let me read the... I mean, it's one of those where I remember what Glimmer Cape does in general, but I need to see it again. Just why you... I don't know. It's only 5 seconds of invisibility. Okay, so guys, let's talk about this. So it applies Break, right? This is what Break does. Let's make sure we're right about this, okay? Where is it? Rework the item and silencing. Item silencing is called Mute. Passive disabling is Break. Break disables a bonus of passive abilities only. Alright? The Break mechanic is now responsible for this behavior, and previous abilities that Hex Doom blocked, not items and abilities, are included in the list of abilities Break disables. So let's go ahead and... maybe I'm wrong, but let's go ahead and check it out. The following additional passive abilities are now added to the list of passive disabled with Break. Aftershock. Counter Helix. Great Cleave. So you get rid of Axe's Counter Helix. You get rid of Cleave. Craggy. That's actually so good. Slardar's Bash. Inner Beast, Dragon Blood, Mortal Strike, Degen Aura, Grievel's Greed, yeah, fuck your farming, Drunken Brawler, Feral Impulse, who's Feral Impulse? Oh, that's Lycan. Shapeshift's Critical Strike, Chaos Strike, Return, Reactive Armor, Curse of Avernus, Natural Order, Empowering Haste, Spell Shield, Thirst, Marksmanship, Precision Aura. What? Presence of the Dark Lord. Blade Dance. Coup de Grace. Gets rid of PA Crit. Vengeance Aura. Backstab. Headshot. Take aim. Wait, he loses... What? Psyblades. Geminate Attack. Lunar Blessing. Moonglaves. Yeah, attack the Luna with a Silver Edge and you reduce her fucking 40 damage of her entire team. Desolate from Spectre. Okay, this is amazing. This actually makes Slark really good against Spectre. Janata, Geostrike. What? Now! Fervor, Arcane Aura, Static Field, Heartstopper, Sadist Overload, Fiery Soul from Lena, Untouchable. Oh my god, Slark's so good. Nullfield, Gravekeeper Sloke, Spear Brayers, Entangle, and Demolish. So it said previous pass abilities are included in the list of abilities break disables. I know for a fact that Doom already disabled Huskar's passive, so I believe that Huskar's passive is included even though it was not mentioned here. Yeah, he fucking loses range. Snipers, oh my god, dude. It appears, yeah, Doom disabled backtrack, so it actually disables backtrack. It has to. Everything that was already disabled, because I know for a fact that, Doom never disabled Essence Shift before, so the point about this list is that they're adding stuff. No, Void is not unaffected. Guys, I'm making that clear right now. Stuff that was already removed by Doom is not on this list, but it's still there. TA becomes melee. Oh my god, it's Psyblades. Oh my god. That's disgusting. Yes, Bristleback got disabled by Doom. Do you think this is the biggest patch since Dota came out? This is one of the most major patches, man. I'm asked, will I still get S and Y on Slark, or do you think Silverblade isn't up? For some reason it escaped my mind. Thank you for reminding me. I'm about 95% sure that my new build will be Silver Edge into Manta. I think the Yasha's still really good, so maybe like Yasha Silver Edge into like Scotty Manta, stuff like that. I think the casual Yasha's still really good, but no reason